Captain's Log, June 2nd, 2836. After 27 years of war between the Degen Coomers and the Sainthood Slayers, a new hope arises. As the battlefield lay weaponized, locked and loaded for destruction, negotiations for a peace treaty are in transition. The Moderator has arrived at Station 42. Can this war be ended? Will the Coomers and Slayers find a middle ground?
Abort mission. I repeat, abort mission. Negotiation failure. Abort mission.
Heavy bogey 6+, low orbit over grid 15-2.
No joy, Yashiman.
Then go to your window and look up their biggest fracking asteroid.
Copy, Yashiman. Still blind. Got some kind of system-wide crash in the defense grid.
Got on track yourself right goddamn now, because we got Boku inbound, and they're not carrying flow.
Wait one, Yashiman.
You don't have one.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I am Sarah, the Raging Tomato, bringing to you live another Moderator Monday. I was a little bit late on putting you guys back up on stage. I apologize. This evening, I've got with myself a No Fugazi podcast, David Cooley. I've got Jaden, also known as Womes. I've got Diddley, coming from Diddley ASMR, and Kat Katibi. I'm going to switch you to. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the question, is OnlyFans harmful to society? I will be mindful and remind us all to be generous to TOS terms, so on and so forth. But overall, I think we'll be fine. And to the mods in chat, help keep it clean. Thank you so much. David, if you'd like to start with your opening statement, please.
Yeah, how's it going, everyone? Shout out to Kat, Diddley, and Holmes. I have that right? All right.
Yeah,
cool.
you got it.
All right. Here's my opening statement that I have written down. It's crazy that we even have to discuss tonight's topic on if OnlyFans is harmful or not. This shows how far we've moved away from morality and what people perceive to be harmful to themselves or to others. To be quite frank, I believe that my two opponents already believe OF is harmful, but they want to make an excuse to do and consume degenerate behavior. They'll mask it by saying they believe in freedom of choice and bodily autonomy, but that's just a cover-up to excuse their hedonism. With reports showing an estimation of 1.4 million women use OnlyFans, and 1.2 of them are the ages of 18 and 24, and they only make about $150. So these young ladies are selling their self-dignity, respect, and most importantly, they're selling their soul. Also, just think of the impact that it already has on kids in school when they find out that, hey, we just seen Kyle's mom stick some bananas in her butt crack and got gangbanged. Ugh, it's disgusting. Little Kyle is going to be made fun of. That's what's going to happen. He's going to experience harm, mental harm, and all other sorts of type of harm, being bullying and all that other type of stuff. Reports also show that 90% of consumers are married men. So it's breaking down general relationships and marriages. Imagine you married and you walk into your room and you find your husband beating off to some OnlyFans thought. You're going to be like, oh, god dang, women, she's going to file for the divorce. They already like to divorce men anyway, so you know that's what's going to happen. Now, some of these major effects have been exploitation and human trafficking, promotion of non-consensual content, financial exploitation, and major health impacts. I would assume that my opponents are feminists. So it's a bit ironic because one of the original goals of feminism was to get rid of the idea of women being sex objects. With that, I'll yield my time.
Thank you, David. Kat, to you.
Okay, so I'm going to argue that it's harmful to American society, not because of individual choices, but because it exploits vulnerabilities. It normalizes transactional sexuality among the youth. It destabilizes our cultural values, and this billion-dollar platform threatens our children and communities. OnlyFans top creators usually are first actors, singers, YouTubers, and other influencers, famous for child accessible content like music or vlogs or other types of YouTube channels. They leverage their mixed age audiences, including minors, to promote adult content, blurring the line between what is safe and exploited. These creators, followed by millions on platforms like YouTube, post non-nude content such as cooking shows or whatever it may be, which attract younger fans, embedding the notion that success equals transactional sexuality. A study found that 68% of women report men demanding instant sex, up from 45%. As 82 million male subscribers, half of men age 18 to 45, equate payment with sexual access. This exploits 4 to 5% of limerent fans obsessed with creators, intensifying shallow demands and shallow relationships. Young fans exposed to blurred content internalize sex work as aspirational, yet creators reliant on youthful looks face pressure to escalate into uncomfortable exploitative content to compete, sacrificing viable long-term careers for a fickle, youth-obsessed industry. Next, OnlyFans consequences are severe. Only 1% of creators, as he said, earn anything that you can make a living over. And 62% regret participating, citing depression, boundary violations, and ruined relationship. Top earners attract opportunistic men exploiting their, I'm not going to say that word. Creators face job loss and stigma with 65% of employers screening social media before getting hired. So if OnlyFans doesn't work out, it's going to be harder to get a good, high-paying career. OnlyFans harms the youth and their mental health. Its curated content drives body dysmorphia, with 1 in 4 teens reporting negative self-image, and lacks age verification, exposes minors to explicit content, with educators noting sexualized teen behavior increases. A survey found 70% of parents are worried about platforms like OnlyFans influencing the youth, with 60% of Americans viewing adult content as harmful. It erodes our moral fabric. My opponent may claim that it's empowering, and I respect their perspective, but success is an outlier. Most, 62%, regret participation, and youth equating success with exploitation shows systemic harm. OnlyFans devalues sustainable careers, exploits limerence, and endangers children. As we debate, envision a society where success is built on lasting skills, not transactional sex, and children are protected from exploitative norms.
Thank you, Kat. Diddly to you.
Okay, this is my first time on Sarah's channel, so first of all, thanks for having me. If you've never heard of me, I'm Diddly. I'm a full-time YouTuber. I do OnlyFans, and I have a degree in psychological science. So these kinds of topics I tend to like talking about. On the topic of is OnlyFans harmful to society? In reality, most men watch porn. Most people watching the stream right now watch porn. Sources cite around 75% of men and 40% of women watch it, and they are perfectly capable of engaging with it in a healthy manner. Like any form of entertainment, there are obviously healthy and unhealthy ways of engaging with it. The prevalence of people engaging with porn, and particularly OnlyFans, in an unhealthy manner, however, is often massively inflated by the people who discuss this topic online. And the actual number of people who report problematic porn use differs a little bit from study to study, but it tends to hover around 4% for men and 1% for women. So even at an individual level, the actual number of people who report negative outcomes is just incredibly low. And on a societal level, we're just not seeing these harmful effects. There is no research showing that watching pornography causes mental illness. Having poor mental health, however, can lead to problematic porn use in the same way maybe a clinically depressed person might waste their days away playing video games as a mean to cope. But it's obviously important that we understand the relationship between these two things and that correlation does not equal causation. Another really important factor that often gets overlooked is that OnlyFans is clearly an amazing solution to a lot of the problems that arise in the mainstream porn industry, whereby creators can control the means of production and distribution of their content. They're in control of pretty much everything down to the hours they work, who they work with, what content they produce, and they're making most of the money rather than some porn company. It's undoubtedly undoubtedly the safest and most ethical form of sex work that there is. And this is an undeniable improvement from what we had before. I know a lot of people, when discussing this topic, love to bring up, oh, your kids are going to get bullied in school, therefore it is bad. To that, especially to no fugazi, I would say, well, if your child gets bullied in school for being Black, does that say anything about you as a person? I think it's more of a reflection on the child who is bullying other children and their parents who are kind of allowing that to happen, rather than any kind of moral comment on the kid that's getting bullied. And we'll move on to Holmes.
Thank you so much, Diddley. Holmes.
How you going, guys? Just like to introduce myself because sort of my debut on the internet, as you might have. Basically, I've existed in these political spaces for a long time, but I don't really produce any content myself. Been invited here graciously by Sarah, so thanks for having me. Just going to keep the statement pretty short because I think Diddley covered a lot of what I was going to say. I think to prove that there's harms on a societal level, you're going to need some pretty incredible evidence because it's very hard to correlate these sort of things, like any sort of harms, to OnlyFans, because OnlyFans is, as a category, it's so broad. Like, even porn itself is extremely hard to define, and then when you put the umbrella of OnlyFans above it, it becomes even harder. So I'm keen to get into it and have a good discussion, guys.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. And as a kind reminder to all of our viewers, we're going to have about a 2-hour debate. We will end with our closing statements, read and respond to some of your super chats. And then, of course, per usual, we will go into open panel dumpster fire. Pardon me. I leave the floor open to you.
Sure. I'll go ahead and start with the first question, since Diddley posed I guess it was like a question, or not a question, actually a statement. You said that, well, David, if your child was bullied for being Black, isn't that just like just as bad as if, someone's mom, got someone's mom footage was leaked and some kids viewed it? Are you making that comparison that it's the same? Getting bullied for being Black is the same as being bullied as someone's, mom OnlyFans was leaked in school.
No, the point of bringing up that comparison is to say that just because a child is getting bullied for something that their parents did doesn't mean that it's a good reason to bully someone. It doesn't really indicate that the child or their parents are doing anything wrong.
Well, that's a poor analogy, because being Black isn't a choice. But
sure, well, we can do a different analogy if you'd like.
Look, someone's mom deciding to get gangbanged on OnlyFans is a choice. So that is
okay. Well, if your child got
analogy.
bullied because you're a YouTuber, does that mean YouTube is bad for society, harmful to society?
What I'm saying is the reason why they're getting bullied, because it's disgusting. It's filthy seeing pornography or nudity anywhere, especially if it's someone's mom. That's why it's bad. Let me ask you a question, Diddley. Would you be okay with your mom or your father consuming your content?
consuming my content? No.
You wouldn't be okay with it. And why wouldn't you
No.
be okay with it?
I don't want my parents to watch me engaging in sexual acts.
That's the difference between me and you. If you ask me the question, I would be quite okay if my mom or my father consume my content. I do YouTube. I'm not.
Okay, that's fine. Would you be okay if your
exploiting
mom and dad
myself.
watched you have sex with someone?
That's much different. You are
Why is
having
that
sex
different?
online. What are you talking about?
I don't have sex online.
I don't put that content out. You are the one that actually has
I
an
don't have sex
OnlyFans.
online.
You don't. So what do? You stick bananas up your butthole?
No, so I don't do full nudity on my OnlyFans.
You don't do full nudity. What do you do?
No. So I do a lot of audio erotica. I do like basically tease content, as far nude you can get without actually showing my butthole, vagina, or nipples.
Your butthole, vagina, or nipples. Is your whole cheeks hanging out your let's say your pants?
My ass hanging out? Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Oh, okay. Well, that's close enough. You basically naked, but you just covered up your butthole with a sticker and your nipples with a sticker. You're naked. It's disgusting.
Okay,
So what
so
I'm saying is this.
I think I
There's
made a
reason-
really
real
great
quick,
point
well, there's
before
a
that you
reason.
pivoted
You
from that I'd
actually
like
didn't make a
to
good
get
point.
back to.
Here's the point though. Why wouldn't you? Why aren't you okay? So the discussion
I
is,
can
is
get
it
you to answer this
harmful?
question
I
for
got
you
I
if you'd
got
like.
you. I can
I'm
even answer
actually
this
going to
question.
interrupt for just a moment. I want
Sure.
to try to not make it personal. We can still move around the same conversation while making it a hypothetical and not
For sure.
directly
I'll do that.
actedly, if that's fair.
I'll do it.
And
Yep.
clean it up just a nudge for me.
Yep.
Thank
Could
So
you answer that question for me, Cooley?
I mean, I've already asked the question first, but you never answered it. So I'm getting back to my
Oh,
question.
no, I
Then
did. I
for
said I don't
sure, I'll
want them
go
to
ahead
watch
and
me engaging in sexual activities. And my
yeah,
question
and then
to
I
you
asked
was,
you why.
would you let
You
your
never
parents
explained
watch
why.
you have sex?
You've never explained why. And that's what I'm asking you.
Why? Why
wouldn't you?
do I not want my parents to watch me engaging in sexual activities?
Yes. Why wouldn't? No. To consume. So here's a hypothetical. Let's not make it personal. So let's, pay attention to the rules that Sarah set forth. So my question is simply, people that do OF and they do sexual content on F, which is 98% of the creators on there, they actually do sexual content. We would say that your content is sexual, but not speaking about you. In general, people that do that content, do you think that they would be okay with their parents consuming their content? You already said no to yourself. So let's just say that most people would say no. My question for you is, why would they say no?
Because just like you wouldn't want your parents watching you have sex either.
But I'm not in that industry.
You don't need to be in that industry to understand that you do not want your parents to sit down with a bucket of popcorn watching you fuck someone.
That is, you're still not answering the question. I'm speaking about the people that's in the industry. I asked it specifically, the people that actually create that content. Why wouldn't they be okay with their families consuming that content?
Yeah, so people tend to not want their families to watch them engaging with sexual activities.
Okay, and why not?
Because it's like a pretty private thing that you don't want your parents to see. And
do you
maybe
think-
they don't have any incestuous undertones.
And do you think that those parents are okay with the career path that their kids went into?
Mine definitely are, but even if they aren't, I don't think that has any bearing on whether or not that's harmful to society.
Wait, you said that. I'm sorry, Sarah, we got to make it personal because she said hers are. So if yours are okay with your career path that you made, why would they be disgusted by consuming your content? That's a contradiction.
Well, if someone's okay with their child working in the police force, but they're working on a really critical case and they can't show their parents, I don't think that means that they're in like a horrible industry and they're not proud of them for that.
No, that's not a good correlation. It's not saying that they're in an industry where they can't show it.
Analogy.
No, it's not at all. It doesn't map on. Well, it doesn't map on because you said that if someone is in an industry and they're not okay with showing their parents, that's not what I'm speaking about. I'm saying your parents consuming. Your parents don't need your consent to watch your content. They can just go on OF and subscribe to your content. That's much different. So your analogy does not map on at all.
Yeah, my parents aren't really into incest though.
Okay, so you said incest. The point that I'm making, I'll just make it clear because I don't think you understand. You keep trying to shift the goalpost and make an analogy, but it's not mapping on properly. The point that
It
I'm
is
making that
actually.
you know in your heart of hearts that the content that you do is degenerate, and that your parents and any generally speaking, anyone, any type of content creators, if they have family and if their family consumes their content, they know that their family wouldn't be too favorable to viewing
So
their
just to
content.
get this straight, this is your argument.
The
So
argument that I'm
I'm
saying, oh, go ahead.
ashamed of what I do
Yeah,
because I don't want my parents to see what I'm doing. Is that your
100,
argument?
100%.
So you're ashamed of having sex?
No. Do I
Why?
have sex for a living?
It doesn't
Is
matter.
that
You
my
don't want
career
your
path?
parents to watch you pipe someone down, correct?
So
No,
if I could
no. It's
offer a
your career path.
translation
She doesn't
between
know.
the two of you, if I could offer
What?
a translation. So I think Diddley's offering the counterpoint of, you know, if your parents walked in on you and your spouse, or maybe, you know, you and your boyfriend or whatever, or your girlfriend, whatever, you know, they walk in and oop, there you are.
Yeah, I know where she's making.
Or even more so, why they wouldn't want to stand there with the door open. However, I think Diddley, what David is saying here is that it would be just as easy to click a button and find your content online, only because it's distributed in that direction. So anybody can access it. Whereas your parents walking in on you would be a completely different, it's an oopsie, it didn't mean to happen, or something to that degree.
Yeah,
I
but
think that's
Well, I don't
not
necessarily
only
mean
that
them
is
like walking in and oopsie. I'm just like reiterating the point that obviously you not wanting your parents to see something has literally no bearing on whether or not I'm ashamed of something, and it also has no bearing on whether or not this is harmful to society.
Yeah, so what I'm saying here, and thank you, Sarah, for trying to be the middleman there, but what I'm saying is more deeper. Like, people are making, these content creators on OF are making a career path choice. This is a choice that they're making, and they're putting their content online for sale for the world to see, for whoever subscribes. That's much different, entirely different than some parents walking on two people having sexual intercourse. That's much different. Yours is a career path. Your analogy that you made just doesn't map on properly. You haven't given a good analogy. But another question, because I mean, whom's your opening was kind of lame, so I really don't get your position. But to you, in regards to OF, and you think that it's not harmful, do you think that it has something
To
to do with,
society,
like,
just to be clear.
society? It's not harmful to
Right.
society.
Like you need an incredible claim to prove that it's harmful to society, not just interpersonal relationships and stuff like that. Like small scale. It has to be massive, large scale that you can prove that it's terrible for society. Like,
Yeah, and I've already proved that in my opening, but I have a question for you. So, like, do you think
Question.
yeah, do you think that it's like, what's your reasoning? How do you disclose harm? Like, what's your description of harm?
is everyone sort of has their own. I don't know. Do we really want to get crazy meta ethics and stuff like that? Yeah.
Well, I think it's needed in the debate that's speaking about harm.
Okay. Can we define what we mean
I-
when we're talking about OnlyFans first? Because it's a really broad.
Yep, I think that I think that we all are speaking about the sexual content on OnlyFans, which is 98% of content creators. They create sexual content. 2% of people are, some rappers and stuff like that, but 98% they are putting out sexual content. So that's what we're speaking about.
You would say like people doing clothing hauls, stuff like that, in like lingerie is the same as gangbangs and stuff like that. It's the same.
Of course, that's not the same. We're speaking about sexual content.
Yeah, but what is sexual content?
Okay, so I asked you a question, and you want to evade the question. I asked you, what's your definition of harm? You wanted to escape that by then asking me a question to go into what's the definition of sexual content.
I think it's important that we know what we're talking about first, because if you're just talking about gangbangs and stuff like that, well, obviously that's going to be perceived differently than, you know, like what Diddley does, which is like audio erotica. It's a lot less full on, you know.
Okay, well, let me ask you the question. What's do you think that there's a difference between you know, gangbangs and what Diddley does?
In terms of harm for society?
Harm, yes.
Yeah, there can be.
Okay, so there's some differences. All right, fair enough. And I can go ahead and grant that there are some you know, differences as far as, you know, what the content creators put online, as far as, you know, some may be you know, what Diddley does, showing nudity, not full nudity, but pretty much getting naked but covering up the little parts. And then there's also the extremes that it's actual intercourse. And then also, you know, the playing with stuff as well. That's fine and dandy. The facts is that 98% of the content is sexual content. So I don't care if my son seeing, you know, Diddley's content or a full gangbang is still degenerate. You get what I'm saying? Different levels to degenerate, but it's still full degenerate. It would still be harmful to my son, harmful to maybe different degrees, but still harmful. So now let's go into harm. What's your definition of harm?
Underage or anything?
What's your definition of harm?
Well, just personally, it's something that's going to have a negative impact on your life, right? Or cause negative impact.
Okay, cool. And you don't think that there's any negative impact on people consuming OnlyFans content?
I think there can be. I don't think it's on a societal level, though.
Okay, you don't think that is on a societal level. And why don't you? What would be the difference of it being personal to not being on a societal level if there's 1.4 million women content creators, 1.2 million of them are the ages of 18 and 24, 90% of OnlyFans consumers are men, right? And then a huge majority of that 90% is married men. You don't think that there's any harm?
No, where's the harm?
Okay, so do you watch porn?
So, yeah.
Okay, and
if I get married, am I no longer allowed to watch porn?
Oh, okay, good question. That's a good question. You said if you get married,
that's the implication. You're saying that it's gonna blow up marriages.
Why? No, that's a good question. Let me ask Diddley a question. Are you in a relationship, Diddley, or no?
Hold on.
Yeah.
This is a hypothetical. You didn't ask me a question. You made a statement. Actually, what was the question?
My question was, if I get married, can I no longer masturbate?
I don't masturbate, so personally, no. I think it's degenerate. I don't.
Okay,
I would not promote
I'm
masturbation.
For a prescriptive claim,
prescriptive claim? No, I would not promote masturbation at all. So, Diddley, let me ask you a quick. Why? Because I think it's disgusting. I think that it's not productive. I think that if anyone did it, they know that they feel ashamed of themselves. Think about the first time
I
you do
definitely
something
don't feel
like that.
ashamed when I
You
whack
felt
it.
ashamed of yourself.
You're just projecting.
No, not projecting. I think most people probably did feel ashamed of themselves. I'm not projecting because I've never masturbated. So no. I've never done these acts.
You've never masturbated.
No, I don't do those acts.
I want to see if Kat, would you like an opportunity to chime in? I know David has taken the mic on your side a little bit.
Sure. So, what about my claim about how it is normalizing transactional sex work in the culture? And because a lot of the creators, the influencers that do non-sexualized content, then promote their stuff like on YouTube, on Instagram, whatever, then they'll switch it suddenly to promoting towards children. That is a harm because it's being shown to minors. And I had a conversation at a public park once with an 8-year-old girl who was telling me that her mom works too hard, that she's just going to join OnlyFans, just like the creator that she followed that was doing cooking videos, like little cooking reels that she was following. And then she started promoting her OnlyFans. So like this is being exposed to children because, you know, like corn use, let's call it that. So corn use, that's always been around. People watch that, fine. That's for adults. That is an adult choice. But what happens now is, since it's so accessible with OnlyFans, anybody off the street can start it. They don't go into the industry for corn, so the production companies usually like promote that stuff, so you don't have to promote yourself. Now these individual creators are promoting themselves, and they're using platforms where children have access. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, like TikTok. That's where they're going, and this is where children are seeing it. And then they're sexualizing themselves more and more, and they're posting risque content so that can drive traffic to their OnlyFans. I mean, that is the real difference between what is traditional porn, which was kept separate and away from the culture and modern, like in like mainstream society, and now OnlyFans integrated it with just regular culture.
To that, I would say that regular porn was definitely not kept separate. It's the opposite. OnlyFans is, without a doubt, the least accessible way to watch porn. It's literally paywalled, which I think is awesome, because obviously kids shouldn't be watching porn, and OnlyFans largely cuts that problem out. Sure, some kids are going to steal mummy's credit card and log on to the site, but it makes it actually a lot harder for kids to access the porn on OnlyFans.
Hey, say that to Nyla Ray. A lot of her content was leaked and everyone's seen her butthole. So I mean,
think your job as a parent then should be to like safeguard against like certain internet websites and ensure that your children aren't accessing them.
I believe parents have a role, but I believe that society as a whole and what we govern and the laws and regulations that we push forth, we have a role as well. Collectively, we have a role. So I believe before whom, that's your name, right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, but you can just call me Jaden.
Call you what?
Jaden.
Oh, Jaden. Okay, Jaden. Yep. Well, I mean, so when you look at, countries that expand, content like, corn, OnlyFans, paid subscriptions of sex work and stuff like that, when they open up these markets, they do have higher rates of human trafficking, sex trafficking and stuff like that. So on a societal level, it is harmful. Not only that, you get a lot of the top OnlyFans content creators, they have managers, which is like these e-pimps that pimp them out, which they take a percentage of the money that the women make, and they exploit them. They exploit them a lot. You get what I'm saying? So you would think that that's harmful, right?
Yeah, that is harmful.
Okay, and so this isn't harmful on a societal level?
I don't think it reaches.
Let me ask you a question. Forget about before you get to a societal level, like before we have a society, we have relationships, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you would agree that, it wouldn't be a good thing if these relationships were damaged from the men consuming porn or their women creating this type of content. You would agree to that, right? If it was like, I
don't really grant that though, because I don't agree with you that people shouldn't masturbate. I think that's a perfectly normal thing. It's a healthy thing.
Okay. What about you, Diddley? Do you agree that men shouldn't men should masturbate and watch, consume?
Well, and women as well.
It's not about whether they should or shouldn't. I think it's up to the individual, but there's nothing wrong with masturbating. Okay. It has health benefits. It has self-esteem benefits. Feels great. Stress-free.
Well, you've listed some benefits, and I can list many things that's harmful, like addiction, people getting addicted to it, like how if you're masturbating, you lose the sense and the urge to really have actual sex with your partner, and how you can't keep a woody. You need to take a blue pill to get an erection. So as you can list these little, you mentioned some positive effects. There's many, many negative effects, and also the mental negative effects that it has on men. But question for you, hypothetically, if you are in a relationship and your man was flirting with a girl through Instagram DMs, would you say that that's cheating?
Flirting with someone? What, like saying that they're hot?
He was like, say if a chick slid in his DM and was like, hey honey, and he was giving her attention back and communicating with her.
I personally wouldn't care, but I'm definitely an outlier in that respect. So
okay, so but they were flirting. Would you care if your man was flirting with another girl through Instagram DMs?
I wouldn't care. Like I said, I'm an outlier, so I'm obviously not gonna. Most people aren't gonna have that opinion.
Okay, so so with that being said, you're concluding that most people wouldn't be okay with their man flirting with a woman through Instagram DMs, right?
Sure.
Okay. So in one of the logical entailment of why they wouldn't be okay with it is because you're giving another woman attention. You're talking to another woman, you're communicating with another woman, right?
Well, yeah, it would be outside of the established boundaries of the relationship, which is no flirting with other people.
And do you think that most women would consider that cheating?
Flirting with someone else? Probably,
right?
Yeah.
So now think about if they're in a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. But he's watching someone's OnlyFans and whacking off.
So watching porn is not the same thing as flirting with someone.
Wait. Let me finish
Go ahead.
the question. Now, we got that. I do know that watching porn or OnlyFans and whacking off is not the same as flirting with a girl. Is not on the same level. I would say a man watching porn and masturbating to another woman is much worse than just communicating with a girl, especially the girls on OnlyFans, because they can message them directly and the girls would message them back.
To you personally, watching porn is worse?
No.
Wait, David, can I ask you a question, please?
Yeah, real quick. I got you. JD, what's...
Jaden.
I'm horrible with names. Jaden, my bad.
It was my fault because I butchered it in the beginning. So
okay, fair enough. Jaden. Fair enough. The point that I'm trying to illustrate here is that that most people would not be okay if their man was just flirting with a girl through DMs. Yeah. They never met that girl. Yeah. They never seen any new pictures of the girl. They're just messaging through DMs, and a girl would consider it cheating. Versus a man subscribe to a woman's OnlyFans, messaging her. The woman is sending new content back. He's masturbating to this new content. You wouldn't think that's cheating. You are promoting cheating.
Well, it depends if people consider watching porn while you're in a relationship as cheating.
You already said
many people
that
don't.
most people. No, you've already.
Why are you conflating watching porn with flirting?
What I'm saying is that it's an entire higher level. Think about it. We just went through it. No, to every human being. Most people.
Let me ask you a question.
Real quick. Let me just illustrate this out. Let's not run from this point real quick, and then I'll let you ask your question.
Okay.
The difference is, let's walk through it again. A man DMing a chick. That's just a DM. He's flirting with the girl. There's no nudity. She's not sending any videos. He's just flirting. It's only a conversation. Versus a man subscribed to a woman's OnlyFans, messaging her. She's messaging him back with videos. He's beating his meat to her videos, which is actually cheating. We would have to say the latter is cheating. We would have to say the man doing all that is cheating.
Now, initially you started with just watching OnlyFans, but now you're saying you're messaging them on OnlyFans, and flirting?
That is what OnlyFans is. You can watch content and message people.
Okay, I'm a top creator on OnlyFans. The percentage of people that are in my messages is astronomically low to the percentage of the total subscribers.
That is totally fine. Can people message you, and can you message people back?
Yes.
Okay, so then my analogy maps on perfectly.
It doesn't.
What I'm
Majority
illustrating
of people
here
who
is
subscribe to creators on OnlyFans simply watch videos. They don't interact with the creator in DMs whatsoever.
We can just
accurate to
what I'm illustrating here is that it's more potent. It's more it would be considered, I think most women would consider a man subscribed to a woman's OnlyFans, and even if he's not messaging her, even if he's just consuming the content of this individual, most women would think that that's cheating, just like most women would think that if their man flirted with the girl through DMs is cheating. What I'm saying here is that you are promoting cheating. If you are promoting cheating, this would be the destruction of families and children. This will be the destruction of society. What if before a society happens, a relationship happens? If you destroy relationships, you destroy society. It's harmful.
So
What don't you
based
get?
on your assumption that most people would view watching pornography as cheating.
Okay, let's just bring it
I'm
down.
not sure if
Step
that's the
again.
case.
Do you think most women would think that if their man was flirting with a woman in their DMs is cheating? You already said
we've already
yes.
established that.
So now let's move it along. If a woman found out that her man was subscribed to a chick OnlyFans and was whacking off, you don't think that she would consider it cheating? One is just
See how you've
DMs.
moved the goalposts again now?
It isn't goalposts. It's two
you went
different
from
things.
watching porn to now you're DMing the chick on OnlyFans, and now you've gone back to just simply watching porn. So can we just like, what exactly are you
Once again, I went ahead and took away the DMs.
I also wanted to note that Jaden still had his question, so I do
Yeah,
want
like-
us to recognize that.
I want to
too.
ask it to Kat. Kat, are you in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay, so how would you feel if you caught your partner watching porn versus they came and told you, sorry, Kat, bad news, I'm in love with someone else? How would you feel about that?
I
Which one
don't have
would
the
you-
same view as him, but for the sake of the
Okay,
argument,
but
for the sake,
which
yes,
which one would make you feel worse?
In love with someone.
Yeah, because it's mainly about the emotional attachment, right? That's what hurts when you get cheated on. Is that
But the physical is a
emotional-
huge thing because that's
It is, but I think most people would agree that if there's no emotional attachment to anything, like just jacking it to someone random that you've never talked to, you never will talk to, you don't know anything about them, it's a lot worse than if someone left you because they fell in love with someone else, right?
Sure. What does that have to do with my views? Nothing. So I don't know. Why
Well,
you're
it's
asking
just to demonstrate that David's point where he's saying that men masturbating while they're in relationships is worse than flirting with someone in
No, flirting. You don't even. Are you even a man? If a chick is flirting with the chick, it's not emotions. No one assuming emotions. What are you talking about, bro? Guys shoot their shot. Guys is sliding in a lot of chicks' DMs. If a man has the proclivity to be a tendency, if he's in a relationship to flirt with one girl, he's not just flirting with that one girl. He's flirting with many girls. What I'm saying is, if a man,
I'd call them boys though. Like I'd call them boys.
If a man has a tendency to be watching OnlyFans content and consuming that, you think he's watching one girl? No, he's watching many girls. So what I'm saying is, with you.
Wait, so if I'm subscribed to two OnlyFans creators, am I cheating on?
No, what I'm saying is your analogy of including this emotion is much different than my analogy to diddly. My analogy to diddly wasn't speaking about emotions. It was speaking about how the woman would interpret it. Forget about.
Yeah, and you're saying one's worse than the other. I disagree.
I don't think you're
it's speaking
accurately
about the
grasping how most
actions.
people would react to their boyfriend watching porn versus flirting with someone in DMs.
And I just want to point out that we are veering a little away from the topic. Only I understand the direction you're going, David. But I think we could do a better job of wrapping it back around to society. I mean, that, you know, in terms of the harm piece, that's kind of like a sub category. I would like to focus a little more on the harm versus society aspect, and not the micro pieces of it.
Yeah, we really are yet to even discuss like any way that it's harmful to society. I know Cooley brought up before harms being done to an individual from masturbating and getting addicted to it. Like I mentioned in my opening statement, though, like it's really important that we don't see correlation as causation. I think people with mental issues tend to be the ones veering off into like these addictions, including whether that be like a sex addiction or video games, masturbation, whatever. It doesn't mean that the thing itself is bad. It's just often people with like poor mental health conditions tend to kind of have these negative behaviors, addictive behaviors.
Okay, so you're saying that it's not the majority of people that would get addicted. It's like the more vulnerable people would maybe get addicted to the content.
Well, no, they would just like cope with their poor mental health by, I don't know, spending a lot of time jacking off or spending a lot of time playing video games. I think you brought it up more as a point as like masturbation is bad, and this is why, because some people do it a lot. But I think you were kind of making a causal claim rather than correlative.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, well, masturbation was one. It's not just the masturbation that's harmful. If you listen to my opening, it's harmful for the woman as well. What I said in my
What do you mean by
opening,
that? Like women masturbating is harmful as well, or it's
no, women being content creators, the women that get into this space of, creating OnlyFans content, I would say that it's harmful to them.
to me?
And
Oh,
it's
how is it
also
harmful? How is it
harmful,
harming me?
and it's also harmful to the consumers as well. That's what I would say.
I would love to hear how you think it's harming me.
I mean, I could say many reasons. How old are you?
I'm 27.
27? Yeah, I would say that. Do you plan on having kids at all?
Sure.
You do?
Mhm.
Okay. You don't think that, your content, if it's, leaked or if, it's out there for people to see publicly, or even if just someone gets access to it, a family member or a family of a friend, and they show your child, you don't think that that will be harmful to your child and also be harmful to you?
I don't see something like this ever realistically happening, but even if it did, I think I would cut off that freak family member because they're clearly insane. Why are they showing that to my child? Yeah, I don't see how that's harmful to me personally, based on a bizarre hypothetical.
Well, what I'm saying here is it could be a family member, it could be, anyone. I'm just trying to illustrate the fact that you're 27 years old. You said that you don't think that it's harmful to you currently. And, I could go ahead and say, fair enough, maybe it's not harmful to you currently, but in the future, there's a high probability, since you want to have kids as well, there's a high probability that it will be harmful to your kids. And that's something that you would have regret for. So back to the question, if you plan on having kids and somehow, some way, it happens a lot. This content gets leaked on Twitter
Doesn't
all the
happen.
time. It does happen. It does happen a lot. When
Leaking, yes, but people showing it to their child doesn't happen a lot.
So why would a parent show it to someone's child? What I'm saying that if it's leaked, right? If it's leaked online, do you know that like 11-year-olds, stats show that all the way down to ages as young as 11, they have access to pornography and they're watching, porn at that young age. And you do believe, you already said when you were speaking already that pornography to children is harmful, right?
Sure.
Okay. So what I'm asking you saying that, well, no, Cooley, it's not harmful to me. I'm just pointing out a hypothetical here and saying if your child, because you do plan on having kids, can somehow consume your content via a friend, via a family member, via it being leaked on Twitter, because those things do happen. Do you think that it would do harm to your child?
Like if they're getting bullied or something, yeah, sure. But like I stated kind of in the beginning of the debate, I don't think this has like any kind of bearing on what I'm
Even if
actually
they
doing.
just see it, let's just say, even if your child sees your content with
Sure.
your cheeks
In the
out, do you
same
think that
way
it would
that
do
a
some
lot of
harm?
kids, in the same way a lot of kids walk in on their parents having sex, and if they don't
That's
know what's
much
going on, they're
different.
not properly. Okay, can I finish? So if they're not properly educated on what sex is, and like this can be kind of a shocking thing for them to see. I've heard a lot of stories of people being traumatized by even just hearing their parents have sex, But I think this can be largely mitigated through the parents educating their children on, safe sex, and just sex in general, you know?
So you would
This is
manipulate
something
your
that
kid to thinking that what you are
manipulate
doing.
them.
Yeah,
Do you think
that's
sex education is
manipulation.
manipulation?
No. The manipulation that you would do is talking to your kid and say, "Hey, mommy does this for money, but it's what mommy is into. It's my career. So if you see it or if someone show it to you, just know that this is why we have this house and this car because I'm doing this for you," which is manipulation. So what I'm saying here is this. Please answer the question. You have it. If you have a child, I have kids, right? So I know that the things that harm my children would cause me harm because I don't want my child to feel any harm. So if they're harming my child, they're harming me. Remember, your conclusion was that I don't experience any harm. I'm saying that maybe not now, but in the future, when it does happen, hypothetically, if it does happen, and your child views some of your content or is bullied, it will harm your child, which then it would harm you.
This is actually
maybe
a great
you don't
point
experience
because
any
you're a
harm now,
YouTuber,
but
right?
you would experience
Are you
some
a
harm
YouTuber?
in the future.
You are a YouTuber, correct?
Correct.
You did like red pill content. Do you think that you would agree with that?
I don't consider myself red pill.
Sure.
But,
Okay.
I speak
you do
about the
YouTube,
reality
so
of male and female intersexual dynamics.
all right. So if your child at school is getting bullied because people find your YouTube channel and they go, haha, look at what this dude's dad is saying. Oh
You
my God,
know
what a
what?
loser.
Guess
Do you
what?
think that
Let
means
me
YouTube
actually
is harmful to society doing YouTube?
Let her finish.
Yes, let me actually answer your question with an reality anecdotal experience. My daughter is 13, and guess what? The teachers consume my content, right? Some of her friends, mothers, and fathers consume my content, and it has been nothing but praise. And that your father is a wise man, a smart man. It has been good things. You know why? Because the career path that I chose isn't showing my booty crack online. You get it?
Sure. So
It's
would you like me
different.
to
It's
repeat
not
the question again?
degenerate. I just
Would you like me
answered
to
your
repeat the
question.
question?
I
No,
answered
you
it.
didn't.
It
I
doesn't
said if your
happen.
child was getting bullied because they found your channel for whatever reason, they go, oh my God, look at what this guy's loser dad is making online. Look at what he's saying. Does that mean that what you're doing is harmful to society?
That doesn't even correlate with anything that we were speaking about, and I already answered the question that it did happen, but they said good things. So let's just say hypothetically,
Do you know what a
it was
hypothetical
something
is?
that was bad. Yeah, let's say hypothetically it was exactly what
Okay.
you said. It was
Thank
something negative, right? They had a negative experience. And someone said, hey, the content that your father is making, I didn't like what he said, right? I didn't like what he said. The things that he said wasn't good. Versus the type of content that you make. Not said, I seen your mom's cheeks hanging out her little shorts, clapping, right?
I think
seen
you're
your
still
mom's cheeks.
struggling with the
That's much
hypothetical.
different. That's much
I'm not
different.
saying someone comes up to your child and has a mere disagreement about your content. I'm saying they are getting bullied. Does that mean because your child is getting bullied for your content that what you're doing is harmful to society?
Demonstrate how someone can be bullied by watching
That is a
my
yes or no
content.
question.
She's running a line of logic with you now. I see what she's asking. She's asking for the yes or no. Does that still constitute as bullying if a child walks up and says, "Oh, I saw your dad on this stupid podcast," like, you're a dum-dum or whatever.
It doesn't. That's why I'm
would
asking
that
her to
still
demonstrate
constitute
it.
as bullying?
Yeah, I said no, it wouldn't, because demonstrate how someone can be bullied watching my content. But I can demonstrate
so
how someone can be
online saying that
Go ahead.
women are this and men need to be this, and
Uh-huh.
so your child gets bullied as a result.
No, demonstrate
Does that
it.
mean?
That's not saying anything.
What do you mean demonstrate it?
Demonstrate it. That's not a demonstration.
Okay. Hi there, I saw your dad's podcast last night. He's really fucking stupid. Is that really your dad? Oh my God, I feel so sorry for you. Is that a good demonstration?
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
What I mean by demonstrate, I mean show how it can produce harm. Show how that would produce harm.
That was actually my question to you. That's why we kind of went down this whole rabbit hole.
No, that's been my question, and
your
both of you
child is
avoided the
getting
question
bullied-
of harm.
So if your child is getting bullied because of your YouTube channel, does that mean that what you are doing, being a YouTuber, is harmful to society?
I already said no because you can't
Great.
demonstrate
So
how
we
they would
agree.
experience harm.
Wait, so we completely agree that if my child gets bullied, that has no bearing on whether or not what I'm doing is harmful to society.
Incorrect. You have poor active
We just
listening
walked you
skills.
all the way
Wrong.
down here
No
to the
one walked you
conclusion.
all the way
You said,
down
I
here to the
think,
conclusion.
I think the actual question would be, is bullying harmful to society overall? Any
Exactly.
type
They've
of
been trying to
bullying, right?
avoid that question.
Well, no,
Of
no,
course
no. I'm
bullying.
actually asking you, David, because her child, her potential child, being bullied for something that she's doing versus your child being bullied for something you're doing. We're not going to make the analogy between the two types of content, right? Because I mean, even if you were a Hollywood movie star, I would imagine if you had a child, they could still be bullied because your parent was on a movie that didn't do so well or whatever, right? Any type of celebrity on-screen lifestyle can still have a potential threat to your children overall. So I
Yeah.
think the question that we should be asking is bullying harmful to children for society overall, right? And that's why I say we can't make the comparison between the two types of content. So I don't know if it's necessarily part of the actual debate piece of it, only because we could run down that line of logic and any type of bullying would in fact be harmful overall, right? Would everybody agree with
I
that?
don't agree with that. I don't think that all types of bullying is harmful, especially when it comes to men. That I think that men are okay with some bullying, and actually some bullying can be good for boys at a
give an
young age.
Touching your
example?
winky.
Hold on. So I want to make sure we clarify. So I think you might be referring to the form of shaming, because there is a differentiation between shaming someone for doing what we perceive as bad behavior and so on and so forth. You're overweight, you're acting like a skank, you're doing this, whatever. Like shaming behavior could be perceived as better. But I want to make sure we differentiate where we're talking, only because it makes for the the piece of the debate.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to get into actually. So if we're speaking about bullying, I would say that there's areas in bullying that's harmful, and then there's areas in bullying that's not harmful. What I'm saying here, her asking me the question, my content, my child consuming my content, I would say that the area where someone can be bullied will be not harmful. But consuming her content, the area where someone can be bullied is harmful, because it's your mom and it's naked videos and pictures of your mom. That's much
Just
different.
to be
People have
clear,
a
are
different
you
repulsion.
supporting kids
No,
getting bullied?
people are repulsed much differently when it comes to seeing nudity from their parents, rather than, oh well, your dad said something about this. That's much different than seeing your mom's butthole online. Do you get it? It's totally different. Like the
So
type
you
of
would support
bullying that's
your
going to
child?
happen is going
You
to
would
be
support your
harmful.
child bullying someone because their mom did OnlyFans?
Repeat the question.
Would you support your child bullying my child because I do OnlyFans?
Would I support my child bullying your child because he's seen some of your content online?
No, because I do OnlyFans.
Because you do OnlyFans.
Mhm.
You know what? Yes. Bully that little kid. Listen, if it's out there, I say bully all of them. Oh,
All right, I
your
see that
mom's
as
stuff
much
got
more a
leaked?
reflection of you than me, personally.
Great. Listen, your mom footage got. I think that those women that do OnlyFans should be shamed. If Lil Kenny find the content that he didn't want to see anyway, and he got a friend Byron, hey, listen, Byron, Lil Kenny should walk with the Byron. Listen, bro, your mom's butthole is online. Kids
I want
already
to
bully kids
know.
anyway.
Hold up.
It's
I
like,
want to
listen,
know
your
how
mom's
your
breast stink,
He's
kid.
your mom's
raising little
fat.
bullies over here.
How did your kid find that content, David?
Well, that's what I was saying. If in some way the content was found, it was leaked. You know what I'm saying? It's hypothetically speaking.
Well, okay, and this is why I asked, because like if and I'm trying to like bring you guys in to maybe move on, because I don't think the bullying of children as a potential harm is necessarily definitive, right? And I say that because if your kid bullies her kid, right, for content that she's done, what does her kid have to do with it? Like, you're talking about an innocent bystander in this instance, and you're promoting the bullying of someone who has no idea that, this is even a thing. So
Well
no,
said,
what
Sarah.
I'm
Well
saying is the hypothetical. I'm saying that what I'm illustrating here is that she says that she doesn't feel any harm for the content that she does. I'm just illustrating something very clear here. She said that she wants to have children, right? There's a high probability that her content will be leaked. And when it is leaked, I said probability. I didn't say that it will happen.
High
Right?
probability.
Okay. Well, there's a probability, right? If it is leaked and your child sees your content, or someone comes up to your child talking about you that they seen your cheeks online, that will cause harm to your child, which would then cause harm to you. That's
Actually,
the end of the
your
discussion.
child will be
That's the end of the discussion.
because they're the ones bullying, right? They're the ones inflicting the harm.
You don't even have to bully. If someone just was like, yo, listen, I seen your mom has OnlyFans, they didn't say anything about it. It was like, here, look, just that right there is going to cause them harm.
How is this harmful?
They don't have
society?
they don't have to say any shaming. Well, before he already agreed, whom agreed that, well, a society is a, macro level, but a relationship is a micro level. So before we get to a macro level, we have to make sure the micro level is good.
Yeah, but hold on. Don't try and say I agreed with you about your claims.
About what?
About masturbation being harmful to relationships and stuff.
Bro, you must masturbate a lot. No one mentioned masturbation right now, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but
I will clarify the last hour. Here's what we've discussed so far, and I don't feel like we're moving anywhere positively for a productive conversation. So far, we've talked about masturbating is bad and bullying kids is it's bad in one instance but good in another. So I'm already lost in this conversation.
Can we talk about the transactional part of it that Kat was bringing up?
That would be good. Go for it.
Kat, if you'd like to.
What part? What transactional part? I don't know.
Well, you said you were worried that OnlyFans is making relationships transactional.
Yes.
Was there anything else you wanted to expand on that? And why that's bad?
Okay, let me see. I can't find it again, but anyways, basically that's making it more transactional by whatever stats. I think it was up 45% that men are expecting sex up front on dates because they're like, I paid for dinner, therefore you have to sleep with me because now I'm used to, money's for this now. And you could say that, it's because society and culture is more loose, but that's not a good thing because usually porn was restricted to adults. It wasn't mainstream. It wasn't every creator that does non-porn stuff also doing that. So that's what I want to focus on, how it's gone mainstream, how you'll be following as a child a regular creator that does benign kid stuff. And then suddenly they're like, I need money. I need more money. And then they start pivoting to also check out my OnlyFans. And then children are starting to go, okay, obviously YouTube doesn't make enough money. Obviously they need to do this. So I guess when I grow up, I'm going to have to find some way to get attention and then direct people to my OnlyFans if I want to be successful. Because now they're seeing everybody with their cars, their fancy houses and stuff like that. And they're like, look what OnlyFans got me all over YouTube and Instagram. And it's creators that did not start off that way. So the kids were already watching and then it switced. That's not with porn.
I don't really see the connect on how that's making people view relationships in a more transactional way.
This is two different things. I want to focus more on the kids things because that's just one point. It's up 45%. So that shows this is it's from 2020 when OnlyFans kind of blew up. So we're seeing more people watching that, more people giving money directly for specific things, whereas before it was just you watch something. It is what it is.
I would say that, just to speak in your transactional point, stuff like the red pill is definitely to blame for men expecting sex for giving money out and buying dinners and stuff like that, rather than OnlyFans. I don't know how you would prove that OnlyFans is a cause for that.
How red pill? Just example.
Well, red pill, like they're speaking about, men need to have money and buy everything for the women, and then women will enter relationships with them.
Whoever said that?
Oh, a bunch of red pill creators. What do you mean?
They need to make money and buy everything for women? What? That's what simps say.
Well, they're the providers, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the providers.
For the wife, not for.
Yeah, for a wife, not for a 304.
Oh, how many red pill creators have we heard say that you need to have like 5 women on the go and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, you're speaking about, I don't know, I think when you and Diddley mentioned red pill, when red pill means they really only give descriptors. So there's a lot of descriptors that I give that match the red pill. So people would say that, hey, he is a red pill content creator. Okay, fair enough. You can go ahead and put me into that bunch. But the descriptions is much different than a prescription, right?
No, but they do give prescriptions. They're like, get your money up, get your game up, get fit.
That's a prescription. Yeah, so a prescription is male self-improvement. That's the prescription, male self-improvement. There is not any prescription that's saying, hey, like you said verbatim, make more money and pay for everything for the woman. No, man, you're just talking nonsense. I've never heard anyone give that prescription.
Okay, I definitely have.
So I'd like to open up the idea of maybe harms to health for people who are consuming this stuff. I know we went down the masturbation route, but we didn't really lock into anything, whether there's psychological harm, whether there's harm to them as an individual or to their families. We're kind of tapping into it, but I'd like to see, for instance, if the average age range, I think it was, I don't know, I'm assuming 18 to something of men who watch this, or maybe it's older, I'm not sure, but is there a bigger harm that's involved in the individual consumer that's a direct impact?
Yeah, one of the harms is that when people consume, OnlyFans content, pornography, adult content like that, they get into a parasocial relationship with themselves, where they don't have the ability to really be as social and get in, court a woman the natural way and stuff like that. They're kind of just in a fantasy world in a relationship with the person that they're seeing online, which that is harmful. If a lot of men aren't getting into relationships, this would cause problems with procreation. So you would see, a huge birth decrease, which in my opening already stated that countries that have markets for OnlyFans and pornography and stuff like this, they do see a huge increase in human sex trafficking. They see a huge increase in what is it as well? And many other degenerate things. What'd you say?
Birth rates? You're saying?
Repeat. I can't hear you at all. Is this microphone low?
Maybe
can I turn my headphones up?
You were saying it's leading to declining birth rates?
I said that is something that is a correlate that leads to declining birth rates. We can just.
Do you have a study on
data?
That?
Yeah, I have the studies. I could send it to you guys, but also we can just say that. Let's just say there's 50% of the population, hypothetically, is viewing content and they're neglecting real relationships and stuff like that. Of course, we're going to see a birth decrease because those men aren't going to be in relationships with real women. They're going to be in relationships with fantasy women online.
So would you
so
say
we know that it does have.
That don't have OnlyFans would have what? The higher birth rates?
No, because there's other factors when it comes to birth rates, like other factors of why birth rates can be declining, like feminism, abortions and stuff like that, how many abortions they're having. So there's many other different reasons. I'm saying that this is one reason, one of many reasons for a society to have a declining birth rate.
Many of the countries that are renowned for having extremely low birth rates, so Singapore, South Korea, Japan, they have very heavy porn restrictions or just outright bans on pornography.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, there's many other reasons for Singapore and Japan, especially for having a decline in birth rates. But
So it
when we're
isn't
speaking,
OnlyFans is what you're saying?
no, I didn't say. I said that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons.
Okay, but it's banned in those countries, and yet the birth rates are very low.
Do you have? Okay, so let's just walk this through again, right? Do you think that pornography would be the only reason why a country would experience low birth rates?
Well, I didn't agree in the first place that pornography is
I know
leading to
you
low
didn't
birth.
agree. So why are you making the conclusion that, well, you're bringing up two countries that have pornography banned and they still have low birth rates? What I'm saying is those countries that are experiencing low birth rates is for other reasons rather than pornography. Very
So
simple.
It's not
Yeah, very
about
simple.
OnlyFans.
Basically, what she's saying is
Very,
that,
very simple.
basically what she's saying is that you can't isolate it for the reason of declining birth rates or rising birth rates.
No one said isolation. You guys have poor active listening skills. I said that it can be one of the reasons. And I have studies I can show. I could actually pull it up right now and or send it to one of you. And I'm sure you could just Google it. Literally, if you just type it in, there's studies that come right up. And even Google would tell you itself that there's countries that experience a decline. Countries experience declines in birth rates when the consumption of adult content increases.
Okay, but we're just not seeing that reflected in the countries that have the lowest birth rates in the world. Is that right?
There's other reasons. Okay, what's the other reasons
Yeah,
of
and those
why
other
those
reasons
countries
aren't OnlyFans.
What's those reasons of why those countries have low birth rates? Do you know?
There would be lots of reasons. Like, this is a heavily nuanced topic, which is why I think
In
it's
Japan,
just ridiculous to
why?
say that it's because of porn. A lot of it is because of the grueling work conditions. People aren't incentivized to have families, whether that be, low minimum wage. They have really long hours. They don't have paid mandatory maternity and paternity leave. Like, these are all things that often people on your side are voting against. You guys are American. You're voting against these incentives for people to start families. Do you want universal health care? Do you want free birth? You guys are all voting against this stuff.
Who's voting against that?
Well, do you vote?
Okay, I'm guessing you're a feminist, so that's what you're for. Are you a feminist?
Sure.
Okay, I could assume that. And what about you, JR?
Jaden.
Oh, Jaden, my bad, man. I'm gonna keep on messing up
Can you
your
just
name.
give me your definition?
Would you consider yourself of a feminist?
Yeah, can you just quickly define feminism for me?
Whatever your definition would be.
Well, I want to know your definition.
The move towards egalitarianism.
I don't know about that. I think for me, I don't know if I'm calling myself feminist, but I think that men and women should have equal rights in society.
Okay, that's what I just said. That's what I just said. Okay,
So
fair enough. I mean,
Wait, are you a feminist then?
No, I'm not a feminist. So I have a question.
Why is that?
You said, why am I not a feminist?
Yeah, why do you think men and women shouldn't have equal rights in society?
Are men and women equal?
In terms of what?
Just are men and women equal, period.
How do you mean?
Okay. Do men and women have the same capacity to, with strength, do they have the same proclivities to go into some fields like jobs like STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math? No,
yeah, they're actually outperforming men in academics now.
Yeah, no, not in STEM, not in science, technology, engineering, and math. Those career fields, which normally pay the most, men are the ones that are overwhelmingly in those fields which pay the most. So what I'm saying is,
so just to be clear, you're measuring whether or not men
women
are equal based on strength?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Listen clear. Okay. What I'm saying is this. He asked me, well, why are you not a feminist? Why don't I want to move towards a society that's egalitarian? It's very simple. I said because men and women aren't equal. meaning that men and women, we don't share the same proclivities, the same tendencies to do things, right? So women, you're more social, generally speaking. So you'll get into fields like, nursing and, doing stuff in social work. Men, we get into stuff like STEM. We like things, science, technology, engineering, and math. It just so happens to be that society, how it's created and stuff, well, the people that build and maintain the infrastructure, that's very important. So they get paid more, right? So if you're saying that things should be equal and you want to move towards something that's equal, you would have to make the genders equal. The genders aren't equal. Men and women aren't equal at all. Well, sorry, matter of fact, you probably believe in 12 genders. So do you even believe that there's 2 genders? God dang, why are we having this conversation? Let's move it back to what we were speaking about when it comes to harm.
Do you work
Let's
in
move it
STEM?
back.
Or do you do one of these jobs that you're talking about, or are you just a YouTuber?
No, I've done many jobs, and I've worked in many construction jobs and stuff like that a lot of my life. I'm
So
36
currently
years
you're
old.
just a YouTuber?
But no, I do. I have many different businesses. But you asking me a question about what I do does not take away the fact that, generally speaking, men get into fields that build and maintain the infrastructure where women don't. Women don't have the tendency to get in these fields, which means that they are not equal by their own choices. Right?
Sure, but do you see the issue that when you're basing whether or not men and
get
women
into
are equal
offshore
on these
drilling. You can't
parameters?
make women be a janitor. You can't make women take out trash and get into a sewer and start doing things. You can't make women do that. Women choose not to do those things. So this is why males and females aren't equal. You get what I'm saying?
So based on these parameters that you're giving, any man who's not in a labor blue collar job is beneath me because I'm a businesswoman? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't know. Where did you just make that up from, Diddley?
Well, so you're saying that men
Diddley,
and women
is your mind diddling right now? Like, where did you just get that from?
Claim that men and women aren't equal and shouldn't be due to the
Do you know what generalities mean? Do you know what generalities mean?
Sure, but do you see the issue that arises?
What's the issue with the generality?
What do you mean?
What's an issue with the generality?
What's an issue with it?
Yes.
What does that mean?
You're not understanding my general statement. So what's the issue with the generality?
I think I'm understanding it fine. I'm just picking apart why it doesn't work.
You're not. You're going to an exception and you're saying, well, you're not in STEM currently right now. So does this mean that you're not really doing anything into society? That's a dumb argument. It's not even an argument. Okay, so if when malls are created and they are building parking lots, we all know that the majority of the population isn't handicapped. Only a small percentage is handicapped, right? You know that, right? A small percentage of the population are handicapped. If the people that are building the mall and creating this parking lot, what if they focus on the exception and make the majority of the parking spots handicapped and the minority of the parking spots not handicapped? What do you think would happen?
You tell me.
No one will be parking anywhere. A few people will be at the mall because there's not those many handicapped people. You get what I'm saying? So generalities is how the world operates. The world operates in generalities. What I'm saying is, generally speaking, men, we're speaking about egalitarianism. I'm not sure why we're moving here, but we can move here. This is fine because this is getting into your worldview. In general, men have a natural tendency to go into fields like science, technology, engineering, and math. Women have a tendency to be social, to go into social work, to be nurses, to be, secretaries and things like that. It's not by force, it's by choice. So this, what I'm illustrating here is, and demonstrating, is that men and women, we are inherently not equal. So you two have this mindset trying to equalize things is dumb. It's never going to work because you cannot control people's choices. Now you can try to influence women to be to get into the military or to be an engineer. Yeah, you could try to influence them and maybe you can get some studs to go into that field. But the majority of women are never going to go into offshore drilling and wanting to maintain the infrastructure, right? So let's get back into the debate here. So if we're getting
After that long thing, you're not going to let us respond? Really?
sure,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
go ahead.
Well,
You
like,
I think
respond.
we
well,
need
it's
to-
pretty easy. Like,
But-
basically, he's
go ahead,
saying that people
respond.
who have jobs that he views as more important should have more rights. Which is what
I've never said that.
that,
Tell
well,
me
that's
when
what
I said that.
logically that's
a
a
very
logical
obvious
conclusion of what you just said.
I'm
Not
trying to.
even at
I'm
all.
trying to
What in the
understand-
world? I'm trying to.
Would you
Well,
like
no,
me to
I'm trying to
walk
understand,
under the logic?
David,
Chat, what?
how you're bringing around, I understand egalitarianism, but I don't understand what, men working blue collar jobs and women not being willing to work them ties back into OnlyFans. Even more
No,
so,
that's
I
what
would
they
even.
brung up. That's them. It's not
Oh,
me.
I apologize.
Oh, yeah,
I did
you
go
left,
to.
You were
Sarah.
the one that
I did
brought
go
up-
to
you
get
were the
my
one that brought up
coffee.
Feminism,
Yeah,
actually.
you left, Sarah. And then they brung up this, and then I'm like, they're asking me questions. I'm like, oh, well, let's just answer. I'm
You
answering
brought up-
all of their questions, so this is where we went.
Okay,
But
my
anyways,
apologies.
Sarah, if you want to get it back on topic to the topic at hand of the debate, we could do that.
Yeah. I want to. Kat, do you have something else to throw out? I know, or if Diddley and Jaden want to kind of throw something out there to push back onto Cooley, or throw a claim out as well.
Yeah, I mean, before he went on that massive tangent, he did make a claim about how it's harmful to individuals in that a large percentage of men are forming these parasocial relationships with creators on OnlyFans. But as I stated earlier, I'm a top OnlyFans creator, and it's only a really small percentage of the total subscribers who ever interact in DMs. Even if they do interact in DMs, it's nowhere near on any like parasocial level or them trying to form some kind of emotional connection. Usually it's people just saying, hey, is there any more content I can buy? That's usually the extent of it.
And do you think that people, in order for them to, have a parasocial relationship, they need to actually communicate with you? They can't create this relationship
Not
via your images?
necessarily. But you were specifically talking about like talking with them one-on-one, which is something
wasn't.
that isn't
I wasn't.
happening.
Not when I brought up parasocial relationships. I wasn't speaking
Oh,
about
no, you
that.
did. I wrote it down. So
I mean, we could go ahead and bring it back. I wasn't speaking about that. I was speaking in general. One, that's the effects of it. So that's one of the effects where men consuming adult content, OnlyFans content, there's a high likelihood that they create these parasocial relationships, which it damages them having real relationships with real individuals.
you have no evidence of that. And I think my experience as a creator is more damning than the lack of evidence that you have.
Okay. So evidence is the piece. Okay, we could have I could bring up so many stats to show this, but let's take it in this direction because let's speak about harm, because that's the debate.
Do you have
Our statement here is that it's
stats
harmful.
for the
statement.
parasocial relationships? Parasocial, it's basically a one-way relationship, right?
Yeah, it's a one-way
Between the
relationship.
viewer and the content creator. I would be interested if you had stats that would back up that concept of men who view and then develop that parasocial relationship with the creator. And it doesn't always include messaging back and forth, right? Some of them
it doesn't
can still
include
have
messaging back and
delusion
forth.
thereof. But I would feel like that would be a stronger case if you had something that showed that information.
Yeah, I do.
You have that.
I can, let me go ahead and pull it up. But while I'm getting this pulled up, I wanted to also get it back on topic as far as the harmful factor. Is OnlyFans harmful or not? So me and Kate, to society. Me and Kate, we're in the affirmative. Yeah, it is harmful to society. Diddley and Holmes is on the part where it's not harmful. So one question for you, please, because we've been escaping this for a long time. Can one of you or both of you describe harm? What do you mean by harm?
I can give you an example of something that's harmful to society if you want.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Both
I'd
of
say gambling is something we can use as an example that's harmful to society.
Okay, so you would say that gambling is harmful to society, but OnlyFans is not.
I don't think it reaches the same. Not even
You don't.
close. No.
Okay, you don't think it reaches the same, and why not?
Not even close. No. Well, you can look at gambling. It is literally something that causes an addiction. It's ruining people's lives. People are stealing money from their loved ones. They're going bankrupt, becoming homeless, doing terrible things to get money. Yeah, it's terrible.
Okay, and that's your example to harm. But how would you describe harm?
Just for me personally, without
Like,
getting
is
crazy.
it immoral? Is it immoral? Is it like?
Is gambling immoral?
Yes,
What do you
that's what I'm asking. Is gambling bad? Is it immoral?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so so your description of harm is that it's not good or bad, it's the effects that some people can have an addiction from gambling.
Well,
I could use the same thing back. Some people can get an addiction from subscribe to Chicks OnlyFans,
but it's way less. It's
masturbating.
way less.
You haven't been able to demonstrate that this is like a level of harm that we should treat as seriously as something as gambling.
Well, one, you have to demonstrate that it's a level of harm. I think that it's more harmful than gambling.
You have the affirmative position, so you have to demonstrate.
You do.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, I think that it's more harmful than gambling.
Okay. Well, then demonstrate.
Where's your evidence of that?
I don't have any evidence. I don't have any stats on this right now that's pulled up, but I could bring up some if you want, but we could just speak about it logically and morally about it, right? So I would say that one, gambling is harmful. I'm not a gambler.
Would you say it's harmful to society?
Let me finish my statement, right? I believe that gambling could be harmful to some that get addicted to it. I believe that. When it comes to OnlyFans content, I believe that it's harmful to those that get addicted to it, but also to those that don't get addicted to it, right? And I can demonstrate this by even the ones that don't get addicted to it. And on an individual level first, and then we'll get to a societal level. On an individual level, when I had the discussion with Diddley, and she said that, well, yeah, if my boyfriend was messaging someone online and was flirting, I would view that as cheating. You said that you would view it as cheating. No,
she said
that generally.
Yeah, generally.
She said that majority of people would. My bad. That's right. Diddley, your morals and ethics is a little bit different. But Diddley already said that I do believe that the majority of people would view it as cheating, which would be harmful to the relationship. And if we can't have a relationship, then what's really being built, right? So we do know that, well, I would say that messaging someone and watching someone's OnlyFans and masturbating to it is much more harmful than just messaging someone. So watching OnlyFans content and masturbating and the guys in a relationship is much more harmful than a relationship to just messaging a chick through DMs. That's what I would say.
I don't think the majority of people would agree with you.
I think that the majority of people would actually agree with me.
Do you think that people would have a problem more so with watching porn than flirting with a woman in the DMs?
I think that more women would have a problem with their guy subscribe. Don't try to reduce it. Subscribe to a woman's OnlyFans and paying money, paying his resources to another woman, right? And whacking off to her. I think that the majority of women would say that that's cheating.
Can I ask you?
Well, that's different from what you said.
No, what are you talking about? That is what I said.
Wait, David, are you married?
So what I'm saying here is that I don't
think you agree with that.
What are you talking about?
Are you married?
No, I'm not married. But what does me being married have to do with anything? Let me finish the point.
But you've made this point before, so we're sort of looping.
Yeah, we are looping. It is becoming so.
I just want to ask you,
you've made the claim a few times already that the masturbation, it's harmful for relationships. Between messaging the content creators and so on and so forth. But I think what we're all waiting for is like, why is that harmful? And I think that's what we're missing in the context.
Yeah, well, she just admitted to it. Diddley admitted to it. It's harmful because it ruins relationships. She just disclosed that
Well, I'm
the
not seeing
majority of
evidence of
women.
I haven't seen any evidence that people subscribing to OnlyFans have had their relationships ruined.
I'm demonstrating it for you.
I mean, didn't you say earlier that the majority of subscribers are married? It sounds like they are in relationships, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure if their wives found out that they were subscribed to some OnlyFans thoughts, that would be the end of that relationship. Especially because women like to divorce men for any reason. So wow, you're actually giving this woman a reason to divorce you? Oh man, don't let her find out. She's definitely gonna divorce. So.
Can I quickly ask
The reason
please,
why,
I'm trying to
yeah,
ask this
time out
question
real
why.
quick. Let me just go ahead and finish my point and connect the dots because you guys are having a hard.
I think we haven't
problem
connected them. We just
connecting
disagree.
it. No, I don't think that you truly have them connect. Okay, if you haven't connected, then go ahead and still man what I said. Go ahead.
You're saying
To the
that
point that I'm making.
paying money, that a man in a relationship paying money to someone on OnlyFans is more harmful to that relationship than if they were flirting with someone in Instagram DMs. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm saying that one, by Diddley's own answer, she said that the majority of women would be mad and also think that the man is cheating if he was flirting with a woman in the DMs. I'm taking it another level here and comparing the two. If the
Yeah, and you're saying
woman
that
found out, real quick, I'm saying that if the woman found out, it's versus, right? One is a comparison. If the woman found out that her man was subscribed to some chick's OnlyFans account and was paying money and masturbating to a chick, that would hurt her much more, and she would think that it's
so I do understand
more than just flirting.
All right. Can we just ask the chat and say yes in chat if you would have more of an issue with someone watching porn than flirting with someone?
No, that's not what I said. It's not watching porn. It's OnlyFans. OnlyFans is subscription based. You pay money. A man paying resources. Any woman. Let's just reverse it real quick. My bad.
I just want to ask. Can I ask you my question?
Here's what I want to do.
Real quick, Sarah.
Here's what I want to do.
Diddley a
Hold on
question.
just a second, because I feel like we haven't moved anywhere off of where we started, and it's actually becoming incredibly cyclical. But we're not being productive. I love it, but I also hate it for the viewers because I know they're all sitting there thinking the same thing I am. Like where are we going with this? Yeah, Jaden, I'm gonna
ask David my question.
Go ahead and ask your question. And then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna just because I feel like if we get the panel on here, we can actually get a little more help to the conversation. If everyone's willing to like spare that extra 30 minutes, well, it's not extra, but spare the last 30 minutes is everybody agreeable to that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
That way we can get a little further into the conversation and go from there. I think we'll get some help there. Jaden, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, so I want to ask David. I'm assuming you're in a relationship with the mother of your children, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you found out she had a secret Snapchat or Instagram account and was messaging other guys on there saying that, you know, how much she loves them and wants to be with them instead of you, how would that make you feel?
She's for the streets.
Right. And if you found out that she was subscribing to men on OnlyFans and just whacking it, not talking to them, would you feel exactly the same? Or
she's for the streets.
So it's exactly the same?
The thing is that you think men and women are the same. I don't think that men and women are the same. I don't think that men and women would have the same reaction towards cheating. So what I'm illustrating here is that the woman that is... The question that I wanted to even ask Diddley is very simple. If you had, hypothetically, Diddley, if you had a man and he was, let's say he was subscribed to a woman's OnlyFans, right? Not to your OnlyFans, but he was subscribed to another woman's OnlyFans. Versus him just, DMing a girl, which would be flirting with a girl through DMs, which would be worse.
You are asking this to the wrong question. I already said earlier I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't care for either or if he subscribed to another woman's OnlyFans?
I wouldn't care.
Okay, I have another question. Let's just excuse the OnlyFans and let's excuse the messaging. What do you think is like cheating? Like, what would you consider like to be a higher level of cheating? A man spending his resources on another woman, or a man just flirting with a woman?
Again, like you're asking the wrong person because I don't have a problem
let's
with
not
my
you.
partner.
I'm asking
OnlyFans.
in
Are you asking
general.
what I think in
What
general
do you
women
think?
would think?
Yeah, most women would think, for sure. Yeah.
I think most women would have much more of an issue with a man talking one-on-one with a woman and flirting with her in DMs than they would paying to see a video of her fuck herself on OnlyFans.
Okay. Do you think that most women want a man to provide?
Sure.
Okay. So like a provider. And do you think in most relationships, women view the man's money as our money?
In like today's society,
Yeah, like if the man is the breadwinner making money, it's kind of
well, then
like
yeah, of course, he's the bread. Yeah, definitely.
okay. So like you would say that women in relationships, they view the man's money as their money too, right?
Sure.
And one of the reasons that you confirmed of why they view it like that is because they're looking for a provider.
Sure.
So if the man is giving his money, he's also giving her money to another woman. You don't think that she would be mad, diddly?
No, she might be mad. I'm just saying that she would care more if he was
Diddly,
flirting
you're
with
a
someone.
liar. You are a liar. You're being
All right.
disingenuous.
So I
There's
think-
no way
I
you disagree,
think
David.
In a lot of
$15.
myths, hold on,
What did I lie
David.
about?
David, I think the direction you're going, though we could acknowledge like it could hurt a relationship and so on and so forth, but it still comes down to preferences, right? And so Diddley's preferences
that's
are
why we're
obviously
party.
right. But I think if you're going to go in the harm direction, and maybe we can further this conversation a little later, but I think if you're going to go in the harm direction, you need to pull it from a standpoint of recognizing like, either like a duty or something that they're, what our requirements to
Yeah, that's what I
society
was
are.
Sarah,
But
that all
you're,
man's duty is
see-
to provide. So he's giving away his duty to another woman.
that doesn't mean he's not providing for his wife though, right?
Yeah, it's like
He could
$15
still
versus an
be-
emotional connection. Which one's
Right.
more?
So, and we all recognize that men are visual creatures, right? You could look at a girl, have no emotional attachment, still whack off to her and walk away thinking nothing of it, So like, there's different degrees that we could kind of field into that. So I don't know if the argument is necessarily a strong one to make the case.
The man's finances is tied to his emotions, I would say. Like a man that's spending resources on a woman, he likes her. He likes her.
Any amount of money. $5. $5.
I mean, if a man is subscribed to a woman's OnlyFans and he can just watch it for free on Pornhub, he definitely has something for that woman.
Well, but
He's
see,
like, oh,
then,
that's his type.
Well, like
Kat
$5.
already, and let me just, I'm trying to offer kind of clarity. I'm not taking anybody's side, right? But
just
I
don't
want to
think he
make
even
sure
believes
we're
it.
in a very, I want to make sure we're kind of, because Kat specifically mentioned the transactional portion of the relationship, which actually kind of beats against what you're saying. Like you said, men spend money on things that they love and they're emotionally attached. But then she brought up the concept that it actually promotes transactional relationships in that effect. So it would actually work against what you're saying. So that's why I'm saying.
No, it doesn't, Sarah, because that's two different things. So men can be in a transactional relationship with a woman. That just means that he's in a relationship and that woman views him as a customer. And if a lot of her logical entitlement is that if a majority of men are in, transactional relationships with women, that isn't really anything good. Can you really create a family that's transactional? No, you can't create a family. So that is something that would produce harm. What I'm stating is is very simple to understand because, and Diddley already admitted to it as well. Most people would find that just something little as DMing another girl as being cheated, he's cheating on me, right? So if we move it another level, which it is another level, if you're watching,
that's where we disagree, though.
It's
But and that's where I say.
Let's just add it up. What I'm saying is let's add it up.
It's not to the level where it should blow up your relationship if you're masturbating. someone else.
Well,
Like,
Bro,
let's
you're
go
paying
ahead.
for a subscription.
oh, $5. Who cares? It's $5.
Let's go ahead
What?
and
It's an
we'll
entire
tie
$50.
in. Hold on,
If you're
folks.
sending this
Let's
person
go ahead.
paychecks, then yeah, obviously that's a lot different. But if it's like, what, $10 a month, who cares? It's not going to blow up the relationship. Like, it's not that serious.
I mean,
Let's
that's
go
what you
ahead
think.
and roll into our closing
that's what most
statements.
people think.
I have a lot of great panelists backstage that are ready to come in and have the conversation. I really want to push it a little bit further because I feel like we're just being cyclical. Jaden, would you like to start with your closing statement, please?
Yeah, this went pretty much how I thought it would. There was no massively impressive evidence to demonstrate that OnlyFans is causing harm on a societal level. There was just little tids and tads about how it can impact on personal relationships, maybe a little bit, or have minor impacts, but nothing like gambling addiction or tobacco usage or stuff like that. That's actually, like, we can clearly see it's causing societal harm.
Thank you, Jaden. Diddly to you.
Yeah, I would say the same. I would even go further as to say that a lot of the conversations around OnlyFans are just fake outrage. It's the hot topic at the moment. Everyone loves talking about OnlyFans chicks. It gets the views. I'm not even convinced that these people think it's harmful to society based on, I mean, they didn't bring forth any substantial evidence to indicate that it is. But also just because we never hear these people talk about things that are like undoubtedly extensively researched to be very harmful to society. I mean, Jaden brought up gambling. No one seems to be talking about this, despite it being obviously much more harmful. I think a lot of the discussions around this topic as well stem from like a lot of misconceptions around OnlyFans, usually stemming from the fact that people think OnlyFans is mainly for lonely, depressed men to subscribe to women and form some kind of emotional connection with them. My experience as a creator and the creators I've spoken to is not like that at all. Like I said, most people don't message you. There's no kind of emotional attachment being formed. I think it's just completely overblown, the whole parasocial aspect of it. And yeah, again, I think they've failed to demonstrate that it's harmful to society as a whole. So, yeah.
Thank you, Diddley. I appreciate it. Kat, to you.
So the platform still exploits vulnerabilities. It distorts youth aspirations, and it fractures our shared values. Top creators, stars from YouTube, musicians, TV, they draw millions of young fans with first wholesome content, only to funnel them towards OnlyFans adult worlds through seemingly innocent posts like cooking or dance videos or whatever. And a 2023 case in California saw a 14-year-old girl inspired by her favorite influencer's OnlyFans attempt to post suggestive content online, believing it was the only path to fame in this new world. It's not an anomaly. Schools are reporting rising incidents of teens mimicking sexualized behavior, lured by the platform's promise of quick success, easy money. The platform doesn't empower, it commodifies. It teaches children that beauty and sexuality are currency, not their intelligence, not their character. And it traps creator in a cycle of objectification. We did not have this seemingly open door to adult content when I was growing up. We didn't have Instagram, so we certainly didn't have anyone posting explicit content on platforms where children were there. You couldn't go on television or like a radio and nobody was saying go to my OnlyFans. Nobody was saying go check out my porn on like mainstream media. So now, because we have social media where we have all ages, we need to be careful about platforms like this that open the door for vulnerable youth and how they're changing our culture.
Thank you, Kat. David, to you.
Sure. So I think that if everyone that's tuning in right now, we are seeing the effects, the negative effects and the harm that OnlyFans is doing currently right now in this debate, because my two opponents literally are void of morality. They don't have any sense of morality in this debate. They backpedaled a lot, really didn't answer any of the questions direct, but I answered all of their questions direct and gave many examples and analogies and everything. Also, they spoke about, well, you didn't really, say anything or demonstrate harm. In my opening and throughout the conversation, we spoke about the mental harm. There's mental harm that it has with feeling anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. We spoke about the parasocial effects as well, how, the men that's consuming this content pretty much get into a relationship with themselves. We spoke about many things on how how it can be financially exploited as well, with the managers and the eat pimps taking advantage of the content creators. We spoke about the human trafficking. We spoke about many things within this that expose the harmful nature of OnlyFans. But these, two opponents here, they are void of any morality. So they don't know what's good and bad, which they really didn't want to get into that conversation. They kept avoiding it, which I wanted to get into. But it is what it is. I think this was a clear win on our part, Kate. Good debate.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. And so we're going to go ahead and just open up the panel. And if everybody could, at the very least, spare, like, David, I know you weren't feeling well, but we've kind of cut early, so maybe we can spare it on the other end. And I just want to try to round robin it with a few panelists and see if we can kind of extract a little bit more of the arguments one way or the other going forward. So here we go, guys. Oops, I missed a button there. Sorry. Okay, so what I'd like to do is, just for purposes, we're not going to dumpster fire it quite yet, only because these panelists are trying to get through the conversation. So I'd like to kind of round robin it. Flo, if you want to kick us off with your thoughts, and Fatty, you're good. Flo, if you want to go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah. So the main thought that I have is, what's on Fatty's head and why is it there?
It's a bonnet.
All right, back to the point.
Oh yeah, bro.
Yeah, no, I think that I'm pretty much on the side of for OnlyFans. I will say that I don't think it's great. I don't think it's a positive thing, but I think every alternative is less positive. It sounded like Cooley was trying to hold Diddley responsible for basically all sorts of things that happen around sex and pornography, and that just really don't apply there. I don't know. It just seems like if this is the big problem in society, then life is pretty comfy.
Okay. Did anybody have a thought or something to add to that on the top shelf here?
No, not really.
Okay. Evan, did you want to bring something up?
Yeah, I would say it feels like a problem with OnlyFans is with like the push against progressivism that is coming. Like the women going and sexualizing themselves.
What's coming?
I feel like it's going and making it so they don't have much moral leverage. So when like the pendulum shifts, they end up without like any morals to kind of like stop like their resentment, that they'll end up in a worse place as society goes and tries to recorrect itself.
Okay.
So you think?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So you think society's going to get conservative and people are going to be pissed that people did OnlyFans in the past?
Yeah, I would certainly say so. Like there's a lot of guys that I know that are struggling and they can't find a job or anything, and if certain like women can go and make quick, easy money by going in, showing off their bodies through OnlyFans, that's like a source of some resentment, especially if they themselves go and pay them because they want their like their nudes or whatever.
So how is that the girl's fault? Wouldn't that be the guy's fault for being a pocket watching?
Oh,
I love how Flo is making their arguments for them.
I mean, they could try throwing their butthole on them.
Any of you fuckers did.
Yeah.
I love the way that you worded all of that, because if anyone else noticed,
of course you
he was
did.
only talking about women. And we know for a fact, obviously, men do OnlyFans as well, but we know that they do not get the same scrutiny.
A small percent of
that
men do
women who
OnlyFans.
do it. Yeah,
Very
we
small
can all agree on
percent.
that. Has
Small
nothing to do
percent of
with my
women too.
Yeah, so males who do OnlyFans do not see the same level of scrutiny. No one wants to control how a man shows off his body or how he sexualizes himself. I think he's more than capable of going into the workforce and no one will give a fuck. I think this says a lot about how society just wants to control women and what they do with their bodies rather than OnlyFans itself.
Those men are like almost even celebrated. Like
You kind of you kind of actually. That's actually not true, because men literally get shamed for being 20 years older than the woman that they are dating, and there's no nudity.
What does that have to do with OnlyFans?
What's that got to do with
No,
anything?
you are saying that we believe in double standards, right? The same way, for example, women can get away with dating younger men without any repercussion. Usually, if a man dates a woman that is 20 or 30 years younger, even if it's consensual, he's on Front Street calling a child predator and all that.
Yeah,
when
and
the
I think
woman
that's
mommy is
bad. I
20.
don't think that should happen.
But like I said, we have to understand that society has double standards. So
Yeah, and I don't think we should.
no, but we should, because if society didn't have double standards, you wouldn't make money leaking a microphone. Men will do it too, right? Like you can make thousands of dollars leaking a microphone.
Well, if I was a man, I could easily make money on OnlyFans as well.
Patty, have you tried it?
Let Greed one leak a microphone, and he will get like they were going to call the cops on him. So the reality is, you believe in double standards. They're alive and well.
There are plenty of male creators and no one cares.
Have you ever saw a man making money leaking a microphone?
Absolutely, I subscribe to them.
Okay.
Wait, just real quick. The second largest ASMR creator is a man.
Hey, Worms, can you do
Is
it?
it really?
Can you do it real quick, Worms?
Yeah.
Can you do it real quick? Can you do it real quick?
Are you asking him to lick the microphone?
Yeah, let's see how much money Sarah can get
I
on
want to
the
see. All right, Grid, did you want to ask a question or offer a thought?
I'd like to have some dialogue here. This is cool. First, I want to thank you guys for coming out, even though you performed absolutely horribly, all of you. Fucking hell, mate! It was terrible. Absolutely the worst show, Sarah. I am so sorry for you. But we'll redeem it right here.
To help. I
know you did. I know you were doing your job, Sarah. They weren't doing theirs. So first of all, I really like how Diddley and her partner, absolutely never made an actual argument. And the best they could do, honestly, was say, well, I'm not hurting anyone and my fans and my show. We're not talking about you. We're talking about OnlyFans, and OnlyFans as a whole is not a net positive at all, and probably strong case to be made for net negative, especially
you think
when
it's a negative
that
to
the top
society?
1% are the only ones that actually make any money doing it. You guys, you fuckers over here who should have been putting all of this information out there, were making the worst retread arguments I've ever heard. It's like you watched Andrew Wilson and Diddley's debate and just tried to retread it instead of just doing some research on your own, which is fucking lazy.
So when people are
shit.
making an affirmative claim, who do you think the burden of proof lies on?
I don't know. I honestly didn't catch the first part of this.
No, it
because
does. It does lie on the affirmative. That's why I was giving David a lot of pushback. Kat did provide the stats. She did her job there.
To be clear, Kat didn't
not
speak for the
great.
entire thing except for opening and closing statements.
So at any rate,
David had to 1v2. I'll just be clear on that.
Yeah, great. So the interesting thing is that Diddley, again, you seem to think that just because you and your experience is great, that everyone's experience is great, and the majority seems to disagree with you on that. And
I don't think that you have a stat for
and
that.
I don't know where the truth lies, right? Like I
disagree
never
with
actually been on OnlyFans at all. But maybe Flo can help
does
me out,
protest
because he
too much.
probably has a year.
David was
lifetime
asking her a lot
membership.
of personally pointed questions, so she's
I'm
giving
sorry?
personally pointed answers.
I honestly can't hear him. Can you fix your microphone?
Yeah,
or
let me
something?
turn him up on my end a little bit. I notice when you
Try
kind
turn
of
up your echo cancellation as well. It might be in the settings.
If you're doing
fucking up
the automatic adjusting volume on StreamYard, or
Mm.
StreamYard, sometimes it messes.
Wait, can you guys see me?
We can all hear him. You're just a boomer.
I can turn my volume up, but then
You're
you're
fine,
really
you're
loud, and I don't
fine.
want to hear you, Flo.
Too bad.
I'll just repeat what I said.
There you
David's
go, that's
asking
perfect.
Diddley a lot of personally pointed questions, so she's giving personally pointed answers.
Sure.
And then when he's asked
I
for a
said you
general
all sucked. I didn't
no.
say that they did great and you did bad. I literally said across the board you all sucked. And
You didn't even watch it all. You
Kat
just
used
said.
Kat used to actually be my co-host, and I'm very disappointed in her right now. I'm very disappointed.
Who cares?
Yeah, well, apparently me, because I came up here to fucking say so, dumbass. Like, come on.
I think that we were just treading into preferential concepts a little too much, and like generalizations.
There's
I
no
understand,
big evidence that says.
but we weren't running the generalizations to a conclusion, right? It was just,
Yeah.
well, would you prefer this? Would you like that? Most women wouldn't like this. Most women, okay. Then what, right? And it was. We weren't conclusive.
I could
on
see the
anything.
pain in your face.
Yeah, the conclusion is like real simple. If we can agree that before we get to a societal level, it starts with relationships. So how can we even get to a societal level if we don't have our relationships in order, right? And it's very simple.
Demonstrate harm, really.
I did demonstrate harm to relationships that you just didn't agree to because you are void of morality. For some reason, you think that, oh yeah, me watching OnlyFans and paying my money to a chick and masturbating is not as worse as me just flirting with a girl through Instagram DM.
But you have to prove why relationships are. You have to prove why relationships are vital to society. You did start treading down the line of the birth rates, but then you still couldn't solidify the argument. And then she even
why
pushed back.
Well, that's a no-brainer. If we don't have relationships, it's going to be a low birth rate. If we don't have relationships, it's not going to be a society.
We could still make babies without relationships. Where I would have gone was to the quality thereof of the families.
We still have relationships.
Yeah, and we already know that with just having babies, and most of these women that don't have the father in the home, they're single mothers. Well, it leads to degeneracy. It leads to child delinquency.
We have
relationships in prison. It leads to a lot of bad things, right?
You didn't prove that stuff is because of OnlyFans. That's my point.
No, but the thing is, you actually can prove that the problem with that. And I didn't watch the debate, so sorry if I'm repeating whatever y'all said. OnlyFans is good on the front end, but it's bad on the back end, and it's easy to prove it. These women are going to have kids. These kids have to go to school. These kids are going to have to go to school. These kids will have to deal with their mother's consequences. That's all. Like, this is clearly, it's very easy to prove. These kids of these women are going to have heavy repercussions. And again, if you guys care about mental health and the kids and all that, these kids probably are going to have massive problems as soon as their friends know their
bearing on whether or not what they're doing is bad for society. And on top of that, you guys are, it sounds like you want kids to be bullied.
No. You want your kid to be bullied. Well, 1 second.
Well, I even have to say correlation is not causation. So you even more so have to pull it back around that. I can't believe we're actually like telling me.
Wait. What?
Hold on. So
it's my fault that Mia Khalifa's son and daughter are going to be massively bullied and are going to have problems because Mia Khalifa decided to put her coochie on the internet? Is my fault?
It is if you're David and you want your child to bully them. Yes, and it is your fault.
So let me see if I get this right. I know what society. I know exactly what society is, and how society will treat me if I do X. I will go and do X. Society treat me like X, and it's my fault because you decided to show yourself on the internet to get money, and now your kid is watching
a child that has no part in it.
Wait, you got just to make sure you guys
Well,
disagree with
unfortunately,
this?
you don't get to decide that.
Yeah, you guys disagree with
unfortunately,
this?
Your choice
What do
is
you
you have
Yeah, Patty, they
repercussions later
disagree
in
with
life.
this, bro.
You disagree that the kid, the son of Mia Khalifa, the son of Pinky, the son of Sarah J. I could mention a lot of them because I was expert at one point of time.
Yeah, I don't
you are
think they should
telling
be
me,
bullied. No,
you are
that's a
telling me
wild
that
claim.
this. No, Wooms. You are a man, so let me talk to you. You think that these kids, like, they are going to see the name is going to be Michael Khalifa? Oh, Michael Khalifa, I know somebody.
Yeah. Listen, this is a very bad argument. She could take him to the Maldives.
One second.
She could take him to the Maldives.
One second.
He could be raised in a place
Hold
that
on,
doesn't a bad argument.
Manner. Patty was talking.
The problem with
Hats, Patty.
the problem is that as soon as the problem with the internet is as soon as he's on the internet, it's very difficult to scrub that. Y'all are telling me, and I want
Bro, who the fuck knows who's her son?
Okay.
Who the hell knows who
Manner,
Mia?
I'm going to mute you for a second. Listen
I
to me.
think
I just said, pardon
Can I
me for
answer that?
just a moment, to everybody else who's being so kind on the panel. Manner, what the fuck is wrong with you? I just said we're going to round robin this shit. And I just told you.
No, I'm serious. Does anyone know who Mia Khalifa's son is?
I think he got triggered because
dude,
I
seriously,
think he got I think he got triggered because I said Mia Khalifa,
I'm
and
just saying it's a bad argument.
he kind of looks like her cousin, to be honest. But it's fine. So, well, you are telling me that the son of Mia Khalifa won't face massive repercussions when he goes to school and they find out who his mother is.
It's not about if he will or not. It's about should he, and I don't think he should.
No, it's not about should. We live on the real world. We don't live on the should world. I want peace on the Middle East. We don't have it. So I have to actually tread lightly.
Yes, he will probably get bullied.
No,
Yeah,
I
probably
want them to answer, right?
Yeah, it'd be really easy for kids to make fun of him for that. And
No, sir. Answer, sir, please. If I don't think that
Do you think that's the logical entailment?
That's illogical.
Is that the illogical entailment?
I don't
Y'all
think you
just
should
looking
be
for like
wrong.
empiricism. Like, we can have a logical discussion, bro. These chicks are whores. They're gonna have kids. Their kids are gonna get bullied and made fun of. Is not good for society.
Okay, but what if your kids get bullied because of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, no, that's much different. It's different.
Why?
level.
This seems like an indirect way to approach bullying.
The problem is you are making a make-believe world to accommodate things that will never happen, and that's dangerous because you are not
What do you
moving in
mean?
reality. I should know if I go through that alley, I might get into danger. On a perfect world, I shouldn't be robbed on that alley, but if I go through that, I might be in trouble. So once again, you are literally excusing the behavior of people in the future, creating problems down the road that is not going to affect them. It's going to affect them kids. And you
Sounds
know
like
that.
you're excusing the behavior of bullies
yeah.
and encouraging it.
No,
even.
stop. Quit talking about what other people's behavior is. People are going to be people.
Are glasses bad for society, Grid?
We could apply that to OnlyFans then.
Are glasses
right?
bad
I'm not
for society
applying just
because
to
kids get
OnlyFans.
bullied for having 4 eyes?
Yeah, I got bullied. You're not going to be able to pick
You still get bullied,
why
motherfucker.
you're.
True.
Come bully me, Flo.
I believe you.
So I think if you go down the route of using,
I'm bullying you, Ryan. Matter of fact, I'm about to bully you a lot.
If we
I'm
go
down.
down the route of bullying creators' kids, right? Then
Right.
we have to prove why bullying is good, or distinguishing at what point is it good and when it is bad. So now you're opening up a whole nother can that you now have to stand behind that.
Let me take a shot at this, okay? It doesn't matter. My son gets bullied, right? I mean, they try. I mean, now it's hard because he's 6 foot and 190, so not a lot of people are bullying him. But
is his mom an OnlyFans?
No, but I should no. He got bullied because of, because I
asked to prove
stuff
a
on
point.
the internet, right?
Oh, really? Has he been bullied because of what you say on the internet?
Yeah, have you met me? I say stupid shit all the time.
So does that mean being a YouTuber is harmful to society?
So I mean, but he doesn't care, and he's adult enough at this point to not care what other people say.
That was a miscalculation, Grid.
No, that's fine.
But
you can't control who bullies your kid. You can control to some degree why. Like I've tried very hard to not be so, you know, it does
Well, it
take
didn't work
some
out, did it?
level of research to figure out who I am and who my kid is. But my kid can say things as well, saying, "Oh, hey, you know, yeah, my dad's on the internet. He has a YouTube channel." You know, that was probably not the best thing he could have said.
The
Right?
thing
And
is,
your
it's
kid one
what
day
you're
could
getting
say-
bullied
Your
about.
kid
though.
could say one day your kid could say, "Hey, my mom is famous. I've seen she's got pictures up in her room with all the, you know, all this stuff, and yeah, she was on the internet. She's famous." And somebody goes and searches, and then but you can't control who bullies your kid. You just can't. So that it's a bunch of
just like
cope.
your
Honestly,
kid
the
got
whole
bullied,
thing is
right?
a bunch
But
of
you
cope.
kind of
I
gave
really
him the
appreciate
coping
the cope, but we can
strategies,
move
right?
past that cope. Move on to new cope. Okay, there's a whole lot more cope here to get through.
No, that
We
was
gotta-
like
we
the
gotta move,
perfect
people. We gotta
example
move.
of why a child getting bullied has no bearing on like whether what their
You're the
parents are
one that
doing
said
is
it has
harmful
no
to
bearing.
society.
You're the one that said it has no bearing, and we're saying that
Yes,
it
and I think your
absolutely does.
example,
And you can't pick who bullies your
perfectly
kid.
demonstrates that because you said your child got bullied because of your YouTube channel, right?
Yes,
And the
because he
bullying
made the
didn't
mistake of
affect them.
mentioning that I'm on YouTube. It
So
doesn't
it's his
take a lot
fault.
of searching to find me.
So it's
Can
his
I
fault that you
ask
got
a
bullied.
question?
He did
Can
kind
I
of fuck up
ask?
a little bit.
Can I
That's
ask a
fine.
question because
You
we're
next.
on the conversation of the children being bullied? What is the percentage of women who do OnlyFans?
It's a small percentage.
90,
School? Are we talking worldwide?
90?
Let's
98%, I believe.
98?
90% of women.
He misunderstood the question.
Did
It's
you-
okay.
Sexual
hear that?
Are you talking about
Did you
sexual
hear that
content?
correctly?
No, I'm asking how many
It's a
women,
small percentage.
whether it's worldwide or if we want to narrow it down to
It's-
just America.
It's less than 1%. Less than
Okay,
1%.
so less
Yeah.
than
Okay,
1% of women participate as OnlyFans in terms of the sexual content creation. Okay,
Yes.
so less than 1% of women are going to possibly, tentatively, go out and have babies later on in life. And so now those children, wouldn't they become the exception to the rule?
Yes, just like trans woman being on female sports will be the exception to the rule. You still have to
Okay.
tackle it, even though it's less than 1%.
So I want to ask
less than
David then. David, you were making a whole grandstand about why we don't care about the exception to the rule. So in that effort, the whole bullying concept wouldn't even apply because it's only applying to the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, thank you for asking me that question. Relationships take two, right? So the fact is that I believe, and my stance is, before we get to a societal level, we have relationships, and these relationships must be good. And if a relationship takes two, and if it's only 1% of women on OnlyFans, well, guess what? They're going to have, I would assume a lot of them are going to have kids, right? So there's a lot of women there, and there's a lot of them that's going to be in relationships. So it's not just going to be 1% that's affected by it. It's not like LGBTQ where there's a small minority, or like trans where there's a small group, but they're getting together in a group and having relationships with one another because they have that sexual preference. This is women, right, that are heterosexual or some that are bi, right? They're getting in relationships with the normal population. So it's 1% of women that's in OnlyFans out of the population, but we would have to say that that percent would definitely increase because they're going to get in relationships and their kids are going to get in relationships. So it would be on a much bigger scale.
So it's contagious.
All right. Are we? Did we
Go
wrap
ahead,
that one?
Ryan,
Mike?
yeah.
Okay.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, first of all, I want to
Quick.
say, Kate, you did fantastic. And Hooms, you really got to give Cooley a
It's
chance
Cat.
to talk next time. Like, let him go down some
Cat?
questioning.
You
That
mean
was,
Cat?
really,
My bad.
really.
You mean Cat,
yeah,
man.
yeah. Sorry, I'm making.
Wait, Coley, you called her
Cooley.
Kate in your closing
But,
statement.
I
just to
did.
be
I
clear.
did.
multiple times.
I corrected it, though. I think I did.
No, you
Sorry
didn't.
about that. I didn't. Oh, I meant to mentally.
Okay. I'm just
Actually-
gonna say real quick. I gotta head off and get ready to work. So
Yeah, me
I'll
too.
leave
I'm
you
going to
guys
head
now.
off in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks
quick.
for having me
I have,
there,
I have
guys.
one
It was
question for you.
good fun.
Or one or
For
two
me?
questions. No, sorry, no, for Cooley.
Sure, go ahead, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye,
Good
Jordan.
talking to you.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate having you.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah. So I would my first question at least is would you agree that traditional porn or modeling industries or in those industries, creators had very little control over what content was produced, how it was distributed, and who profited?
Modeling, content creators, and porn. Do I think that the creators had a little bit or none on how it was created or pushed out and published?
Less than they might on a platform like OnlyFans.
We can say, well, not exactly, because a lot of these OnlyFans girls have managers, right? And their managers are the ones.
Do you think the majority have like?
You gotta let me turn you up. Let me turn my headphones up because you're super low. If I can.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Make sure I'm on the right mic. Yeah, I am. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you like most OnlyFans creators probably don't have like a manager, right? They might have like a boyfriend.
Most of them probably don't. Most of them probably don't.
Okay, so it's probably more likely if they were on like a traditional Pornhub creator, they probably were more likely to have to go through like a management agency or something, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I think we're in agreement then. So if a platform allows creators to control what they post and set their own prices, block specific users, and leave the platform at any time, do you think that'd be better or worse?
It's what they're doing on the platform. Do I think that if someone does heroin, I'm not
asking about what they do. I'm asking if you think it's better for them on the platform. Like, do you think it's better for that creator specifically?
Okay, we're not speaking about what they're doing. We're just speaking about the platform itself. Yeah, I would say
creators on the platform. Okay, yeah, so it's better for them. Okay, yeah, I agree. Okay, that's all.
And just because it's better doesn't mean that it's good. You are literally saying, is crack cocaine better than real cocaine?
Well, he's not speaking about the what yet. He wasn't speaking about the what. He was only speaking about
both of them are cocaine. One is just crack. So even if it's better, it's still bad.
Now, if he would have said that he's actually speaking about the what, he's speaking about OnlyFans, then that's much different. That wouldn't be.
Great.
And he's talking about OnlyFans models like they are cows on a McDonald's food chain, right? They don't have a choice. You just scoop up the cow and you turn him into a hamburger, and the cow has no say. No, these people are voluntarily decided, for the most part, of course, deciding to join the industry. So if you don't control the means of production or profits, that's your problem. You decided to become a cow. McDonald's is profiting out of you.
Cooley, since you had the limited time now, I wanted to at least offer you the ability to respond to some of these since they were directed at you. Sarcastic Warlock says,
yeah, I've seen this one before.
Cooley, I could argue the benefits of washing your eyes in acid better than you can argue against degeneracy. You're like a walking straw man on account of being completely based on emotion. You're welcome to respond, Cooley.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this guy is low IQ individual. He probably wasn't even following the conversation. That's my response to him. Hey, join my debate, too. I do them on Thursdays. So you're welcome to join in.
And then whatever this is, says Cooley needs to realize that adult content has been on the internet way before OnlyFans. Do you have a response to that?
I mean, no. We already know that. Yeah. It doesn't.
Okay.
He's not saying nothing.
And then I think there was one more in here that was specifically for you. I gotta find it. I don't see it. Okay, we'll leave it there. I just want to make sure I at least get responses since they paid for that. Okay. Manor, do you have a question to the panel?
Yeah, I would like to get, I don't know where the other guy left, or the girl, whatever they want to, I don't know what their pronouns are. I wasn't at the beginning of the debate. I wasn't here. All right, guys. So what I wanted to get into is, did you guys even get to define what is harmful to society? Go ahead, Diddley, give us a very quick sentence. What is harmful to society? Give us an example.
Well, we kind of did go over this. Did you watch the debate?
Yeah.
We basically outlined like
quick recap.
Like negative outcomes for society, and the example we kind of talked about a bit was gambling.
So a negative outcome is gambling. So anytime I prove to you there's any negative outcome possible, that means there's harmful to society. It's automatically harmful. Shouldn't be happening in society.
Doc, do you know this guy?
Because fast food would be an example of a massive harm to society that we're more than happy to let loose.
This is what I'm telling you. I think your definition was not actually an adequate definition.
What is your definition of harm?
Actually, never went anywhere.
What's your definition of harm?
Well, here, that's what I'm asking you. You guys need to actually give me a good example.
She wasn't even arguing that it causes harm.
Manar, I have a good background.
Example. Is it harmful society for me to eat from the trash can?
Manar, I've got a
It'd be funny.
For you.
Well, I
find
think
out.
I think he's trying to
Yeah,
hold
get
on,
in there.
hold on. I
It
think
would be harmful to you. It wouldn't be
Shut
harmful
up,
to
Zach.
society, I think.
I think Manor is trying to make a point to the definition of harm, and that's actually a very good point because nobody was really able to define it. And what he's saying is correct, right? Like if based on the context, you could apply it to anything, and then therefore everything's just harmful at that point. Manor, do you want to kind of elaborate a little further?
That's what I was asking them. I was asking for a definition. I wanted an example of what is harmful to society so they can give us a definition. When she gave us the example of gambling, it wasn't sufficient. It was because it was some kind of negative outcome to society. The problem is there's so many things that give you a negative outcome. Going to school can negatively affect you mentally because you have to wake up early when you want to sleep. And anything you do is really bad for you. I can argue that going to work is affecting you physically.
Anything to excess is bad, sir.
Therefore, society should not allow you to go to work. See, this is the problem when we go down the slippery slope of her not giving us a clear definition.
These bad points are bad for
Anything is
society.
bad, and therefore everything is bad, and I don't like. It's not sufficient.
You debating is bad for society, sir.
Well, no, there are obviously certain harms in society that we allow. Fast food is a good example of that. It's very harmful to society, but we allow it to exist.
I know another one. Hoodies with short sleeves. Terrible to society. Terrible to society. Hoodies with short sleeves.
Says the man with a bonnet on.
Hey, respect. You better put.
Okay, I put respect. I take it back. I take it back.
You look like
I
Jack
take it back.
Nicholson, and you look like Jack Nicholson and Batman. I don't know.
And by
you
the way,
might be too
according
young
to
for
her
those.
definition, Sarah, it's actually conclusive that it is harmful to society. OnlyFans is harmful to society, according to her.
That's not at all what I said.
How did you do that logic?
Negatively affecting society. And by the way, could I also include the individual that is within the society? Therefore, so anything that affects the individual within the society negatively because it affects the society as whole is also immoral. Therefore, according to your own definition, actual OnlyFans is an immoral thing and it shouldn't be happening because it's harmful to society.
That's the worst gotcha ever.
Manar, what did you say? What did you say wrong here? Oh, Manar can't answer.
Hi.
What did you say right
I got a
there?
question. I got a question for Kat. I didn't hear this come up. I'm a millennial. I think someone said you're in your 50s. I don't believe it. I'm gonna assume you're a millennial.
Almost 50. She's almost.
Okay. So when I had the internet, you could find on LimeWire, you could find snuff porn, you could find very early porn studios where it was
Is this
like.
still for Kat?
Yeah, this is for Kat. You
Okay.
could find really.
Is that where her adrenochrome comes
You
from?
say really good porn. You were going to say it.
Yeah, I mean, you could find horrible stuff, guys. I'm not trying to be like.
You had to search for it, but yes,
bigger than my
sure.
body. Yeah, but what I'm saying is like
We did.
if that's my benchmark for what Manar was saying, what harm is people that want to publish, like someone advertises that they have a 14-inch wang and that is what the porn thing is. That's the same thing as basically sexual assault, right? That's promoting sexual assault. Snuff film is promoting death. Like really raw combat footage is promoting death. So like why would I focus on OnlyFans if this is my perspective is like I'm, I see this bad stuff. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Okay. I agree. I don't like it, but what does that have to do with anyone else, sir? Like, does she have the right to go and make a living doing something that you disagree with? That's the question we're actually asking, I guess.
I think that's what Duck kind of was.
And I'm sorry.
Question,
I don't think that's the question per se.
What is the question? Maybe that's the problem. What's the question specifically?
Yeah, what was
the question? Is it and it's a really weird way to for a prompt, but is OF harmful?
That's
Right?
a
There's
weird
no really
prompt.
nobody bothered to define which direction it's harmful. You muted yourself, cock squatch.
I know. I'm trying not to talk over you. I'm just agreeing with your statement. That's all.
Yeah,
figured
I agree,
the
Grid.
nod would
and
give it away.
We didn't get to that point.
Did you give these men a porn name right now, Grid?
I'm sorry to do that.
Mine's
We
heavy
have two porn
cream.
names afterwards.
Oh goodness!
But,
All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was gonna. I didn't
Go
get
ahead,
to ask
Brian.
my third question to Cooley because he had to go. But the third question. So after we confirmed that we all agree, or at least he agreed that it's better for the creators, right, on OnlyFans than it is on traditional porn sites. The next question would have been like if there's a specific harm caused by OnlyFans that wasn't already happening under the agreed upon worse legacy systems where the creators had no say.
But Ryan, there's a problem. Is like me saying, is fentanyl worse than cocaine because people were doing cocaine for 50 years?
Bye,
like
Kat. We'll see you around next time.
It's just either an addiction or a different drug. But drugs are drugs. For the most part, they're going to bring some negative effects to society. So, like, that one is worse than the other, or was happening before, it doesn't take from the argument.
I'm taking.
Daddy, that's an interesting question, like, to get into. But like, I think what you have to then defend is that porn inherently is this harmful thing.
Yeah, but he's against
the reason. Let me finish. The reason I would wait to go to that far, or like I would walk to that point after going through the dialogue tree, right? Is because like that's a much harder thing to defend than OnlyFans specifically being harmful. So I think you'd have to.
I would say OnlyFans is actually more harmful because porn, for the most part, is not predatory. Like, and the left has a lot of problems with predatory behavior every time we identify. But OnlyFans is extremely predatory because it predates on lonely people. It predates on men that don't have access sexually to the woman.
Fatty,
that they
Fatty, are you Muslim?
Let me finish.
Sorry.
You have to let me finish.
Yeah.
Twitch is literally. Let me give you an example. Twitch is literally a platform where most people there are kids, right? Most of these OnlyFans. Well, let's assume that they are they are young adults, right? To be safe, young adults, gamers, and all that. These OnlyFans models are just not OnlyFans. They are on Instagram when there are links in the bio. They are on Twitch where it's just for mostly for gamers, and they are sexualizing themselves and saying, if you want to see more, go to X, Y, and Z. This is extremely predatory because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be on these regular platforms trying to advertise the bottom line, like the end of the line. So respectfully, it is predatory. Absolutely, it predates on people that are lonely and are looking for I guess.
Well, hold on. I think Diddley, did you have a response to add into that? You started to say something.
Well, first of all, the demographics of Twitch are absolutely not underage. So
are they young adults?
Are they young adults?
What will be the?
I mean, we can look up the demographics right now if you want, but I think it tends to be over 20. Like, Twitch is kind of an aging population now at the moment as well, because it's like a pretty old platform at this point. But
yes.
What?
Too
I'm
much.
glad you're paying Sarah, though.
Fucking prattle.
Yeah.
What just happened?
Grid just bought the panel for a little bit.
Oh.
So he can have some one. You know what? I'll go ahead and throw myself in the back too.
I didn't. Okay. So it's interesting, Diddley. I really felt like that you didn't really have a good debate tonight. Do you feel pretty good about it?
Why is that?
Well, because none of those arguments were new. They were all retreaded.
People like bring up the same old stuff, don't they?
Yeah, really, pretty much, yeah.
I mean, you said you didn't really watch the beginning of the debate, right?
I had to go to Boy Scouts to pick my kids up, so I didn't start.
Well, if you watched it, you might know that like he was one that immediately started bringing up, "What if you have children?" Like, it's just all the same stuff. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't really care about much of that. I mean, because look, at some point, kids are going to find out about porn and all of that. I understand the bullying thing.
As you found out,
you can't control who bullies your kid. You can't control your actions, which may do that, which is why I've talked to my son about, hey, don't talk to people about, what dad does on the internet unless it's people we know, like, that already kind of know. But there are things that you can do, sure. And I'll go with that. But I think from where I'm standing, and we could actually have this conversation another time, but from where I'm standing, look, I actually have no real problem with people that want to consume porn in and of itself, right? I think it's bad and I think it's wrong, but hey, you know what? I'm nobody's moral judge myself, right? God will judge you. I don't need to. But I do think that you can't deny if you're really honest, that overall OF is not a net positive for young women at all. I mean, we have repeated examples of recruitment by women into for other young girls into this life of.
Are we talking about women?
They don't actually
like
make
as
that
a
much
whole, or
money.
just women doing OnlyFans?
Well, I'm using this as an example, but I'm sure it works.
No,
the
I
same
mean, like
for
you
men as
said that
well.
it's bad for women. I'm wondering if you mean like as a
Oh
whole,
no,
or just
it's
speaking
bad
about the
for
women
it's
who
bad.
do it.
I didn't say. Did I say bad for women? I thought it was. I said bad for.
You said it
bad
was a
as
negative,
whole.
right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's overall a negative.
So as
I
a
didn't
whole.
say for women. You assumed women. I
No,
didn't
you
say.
said for women.
Did I say for women? Because I thought I said it's
I
net
believe so.
negative
For women,
on
yeah.
the whole. Okay, well, I'll throw men in there too. Both sides.
Okay, so just society as a whole is what you mean.
Yeah, society as a whole, and mostly because, again, what you end up with is, and I think that this has been pretty clearly illustrated. I don't know if you will agree with me, but perhaps you will. That, for example, this is just an example, right? We know that women recruit other young girls into OnlyFans and basically market them to managers, some of which are very predatory, some of which are not, who take a massive amount of that girl's earnings for, and she doesn't actually make that much money. As a matter of fact, it's I think it's what the top 0.01% actually make reasonably money, which is less than 100 creators out of the however many million creators that are out there. And that's a pretty bad. That's pretty bad, right? You would say that that's not a positive, correct? You would?
Yeah, sure. I think you would
Okay,
see
okay.
similar numbers reflected in pretty much any kind of online creation. Like you have the massive
Sure.
YouTubers making the
Sure,
majority
but-
of the money, and then all the people who
Yeah,
try. And
I've never had somebody ask me to be a man, well, of course I'm a guy, so maybe it's a little different for women, right? But I've never had somebody come over and say, hey, I'll represent you and I'll take 10% of what you earn or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I don't agree. I don't think people should be doing that. The reason why they do it, I know, is because there's a referral program on OnlyFans. So people who
Yes, they do.
get creators on with their referral link, they can make, I think it's 5% off of them.
Yeah. And I mean, the owner
I don't think referrals should be an incentive. I think you personally, like, this should be something you want to do. It
Sure.
shouldn't be something that's like
And
externally.
I think that's why you are able to say, well, for you, this is a net positive because for you, this works. But what we look at as a whole is we see a lot of damage done to not just creators, but also, and obviously, so let's be intellectually honest. A lot of these creators are not good people. And we've all, or I would assume that you've seen the interviews with these women who are femdoms that take advantage of men and literally clean out their bank accounts. And I would say that that's a fairly negative thing. Would you say that that's negative?
If they're like completely draining their bank accounts,
Yes,
like the
they're actually
femdom stuff,
draining.
yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, the argument
Like,
is that these
I've
men are
dabbled-
willingly doing it, right?
Yeah. Like I dabble in
But it's
femdom,
still
and that's not
negative.
something
It's-
I would ever do.
Yeah,
I don't like
again,
people do that.
I think where you get hung up and where everybody else was kind of getting hung up and not being able to really attack your actual argument or your position is that they were making it about you personally. Honestly, you're probably a fairly pleasant human being, even though you're probably going to go to hell because of your lifestyle. That's totally cool. You can do that. That's fine. But again, you're probably perfectly pleasant, but what you do and what the global experiences are not the same thing. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't say that the average experience as an OnlyFans creator is being referred by someone and having a manager that takes a massive cut. I wouldn't say that
It
that's the
seems
average.
though
experience.
that the numbers would back up what I'm saying and not what you're saying.
Do you have the numbers?
Well, yes, only less than 1% actually make good money as a.
I was asking for numbers on people having predatory management and like being referred. and having,
I could
like, large
probably
cuts
I could
taken out.
probably find that. I know that there was a study done, but I mean, you don't have to believe me. You can decide.
I do agree. Like I think, what is it? The average makes a couple of $100, maybe even
Yeah, a couple
$100.
$100 a month or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really low, right? And so, and the ones that are earning high earners, not people such as yourself, but some of the others, the ones that are earning, they have to do ever more increasingly vile stuff to, from my point of view, obviously, you probably would be okay with it, but I would consider it vile. Ever more increasing, they have to keep pushing the envelope to continue to draw those people in. Would you agree with that as well?
Give me an example of like what kind of vile stuff?
Butt sex, gaping, whatever.
I don't think that's the typical experience of an OnlyFans creator.
Really?
OnlyFans is actually quite strict as well when it comes to the more extreme content. Like they straight up ban a lot of the more extreme stuff. You can't even be on your period on OnlyFans. You can't show blood.
All right. I would assume that because of the violence and the all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I would agree. Probably that's probably a very real thing. Yeah, I'm not up on it. I've never actually been on OnlyFans. Although I remember the first time I heard of OnlyFans, it was for teaching. People were giving cooking classes and things like that.
Yeah, it started out as like basically another form of Patreon, if you know what that is.
It was something.
I mean, it's in the name. OnlyFans. Creators sign up and their fans subscribe.
Yeah. Right. So, okay. Well, that's all. Again, I just think that the way this argument, the way that this debate has gone, has been. It was just a circular. It was just a regurgitated argument that you'd already heard. Right.
I mean, I pressed for any kind of studies they had. He said he was going to bring up a study at one point, and then he just didn't. But he kept looping back to the child getting bullied and. Just all the repetitive arguments. So, yeah, I mean, I tried to get away from that stuff, but he just kept looping back, I think.
Well, and again, I'm not trying to be, overly insulting, but again, I don't think that you.
Oh.
Well, I guess my $20 bumped his 100 off. Sorry about that, good one. I, on the other hand, have no problem providing studies. I can show you a study that was done by BYU University that surveyed 3,500 couples across the country, where it didn't matter which gender, they both reported unhappiness and lower satisfaction levels within their relationships if the other partner was consuming corn. OnlyFans is corn primarily. Obviously, it did start out as something different, but it was taken over. There's multiple studies that show that corn use is especially a topic that women don't like to deal with in their relationships, and women express higher dissatisfaction rates and lower trust. What'd you say?
I said I agree with that.
Right. Okay. And I don't think we need to incentivize women anymore to end their relationships, as they're already responsible for about 70% of the divorces that get filed. So anything we can do to hopefully keep them in a relationship with the person they're in, I would see as good. I don't think there's any way that you can argue with the fact that it's damaging to the overwhelming majority of relationships where one partner is watching corn, the other partner.
So here's my argument. Correlation does not equal causation. I think in a lot of these relationships where you see the breakdown.
Ideology. Do something better than that.
So when you're seeing the breakdown of a relationship, what do you think maybe a lot of these men, even women, are going to turn to when they're fighting with their spouse? They aren't hanging out together. They're not having sex. What maybe might they turn to? What might you see an increase in?
You tell me.
Porn watching, perhaps?
And this is a good thing?
No, I'm saying that the porn itself is not leading to the breakdown of the relationship. The study you're citing is establishing a correlation, not a causation.
Yeah, no, and I think that you're trying to evade the fact that it clearly is a problem within relationships. I'm sure a lot of relationships have multiple different problems going on within them. And so to sit here and say, well, is there a study that says this was the only thing that caused a problem? That's ridiculous. Relationships that are struggling have multi-factor variables that are going on. This, however, is routinely brought up by women as a major problem.
A large increase in relationships that are on the out. Maybe video games. There might be a really high percentage of video games being played by the man and within the breakdown of a relationship because they're spending more time on the game than with their spouse.
I don't think it's the video games that when surveyed, these people expressed their dissatisfaction as being increased specifically because of their partner's corn usage. They're
and do you think
expressing an increased dissatisfaction and lower happiness levels overall from their partner's corn usage, which reduces the stability in the relationship. Stability in the relationship is key to keep the relationship together. You want to keep relationships together so you can have families. Having strong families is what benefits society. This is the line that Cooley failed to draw earlier. Yes, you need to have strong societies. We have a declining birth rate. We have a weakening society. This is absolutely playing a part in it. And you can't just sit here and play the little mind games. No, they were specifically asked, and they stated within the study, which was 3,500 couples, that they're dissatisfied because of the corn use of their partner. It didn't matter which gender was asked.
Yeah, so I think, again, that in the breakdown of a relationship, porn use would probably increase, and this would be noted as like a really distressing point within
Cool.
the
Do you have a
relationship.
study for that?
Once again,
You love to ask for them. Where's your study
well,
for that?
yeah, let's see your study.
Yeah, sure. I just linked it in the chat right now. Here it is. There you go. You can check it. Now, anyways, back to this question for you. Where's your study that says that as relationships bring down, corn use increases?
So
we
my
can
claim
have
is that a
conversations.
correlation
We don't have a
does not
study ready.
equal causation.
You're absolutely right. You keep
So-
repeating your bumper sticker ideology, but you need to do something a little smarter than that. Demonstrate it logically, your position.
So my position would be that people with like poorer mental health would turn to coping mechanisms such as like addictions, problematic porn usage.
Perfect. That makes my point for me. We
isolation.
should probably do what we could to help them avoid turning those types of things. So, for instance, restricting the use or the production of OnlyFans or the ease of access, for instance. Maybe we should institute ID
What? So you
requirements.
think we should ban it?
No, I actually don't think that we can ban it, unfortunately. But I think we could make it
No, I was
significantly
asking if
harder
we
to.
should.
Well,
Like, it was up to you.
From a total moral perspective, yeah, I would say that it would be great if all porn was completely banned. Realistically,
So
I
should
don't
we
think
ban
I don't
video
think it's
games
possible.
if video games are cited as like a?
Where's your study for that one,
Um,
Diddley? Do you have the study for that one?
So
No,
that
you're
was a
just trying to
hypothetical.
obfuscate and move off of the topic. That's what I thought.
So that was a hypothetical.
I understand hypotheticals, but no, I don't think we should ban video games. Your supposition
Why?
baked into your hypothetical is that video games somehow are on the same level of harm for society that pornography is, or corn is. Sorry, it's a terrible
If
supposition.
video
Provide me
games
a
were
study that
cited
demonstrates
as this aspect within the breakdown of a relationship,
Mhm.
and they're really distressed that their boyfriend is constantly playing video games rather than spending time with them, you wouldn't want to ban video games,
No, I wouldn't.
but you would want to ban porn.
Yeah, show me the study that demonstrates the levels of
No, but
unhappiness and
that's a
destruction to a
hypothetical.
relationship.
I'm showing that you don't actually care that it's breaking down the relationship. It's just because you think porn is gross.
No, I'm citing specifically that is the cause. So let me
Yeah,
get this straight.
but-
In your hypothetical, corn is somehow equally destructive to, or excuse me, video games is somehow equally destructive as corn is. Should we ban them?
No, that was a hypothetical.
Right, I know, I understand. In your hypothetical, somehow video games is equally as destructive for a relationship as corn is. Right, that's the hypothetical.
Yes, I'm saying
therefore,
so
should we ban-
that it's
should we ban
cited.
video games?
It's cited as like a issue of distress in the relationship where the woman is saying, "My husband is spending all his time playing video games rather than paying attention to me."
Yes.
You
yes.
wouldn't.
I would say we should take a similar action against video games if it was actually as detrimental to relationships.
Oh, so you,
Because once
you
again,
would want to ban it.
yeah, if there was actual
okay,
evidence
so you
that it was
changed your
as
mind on it.
detrimental, sure,
Okay.
sure, but it's not, and so really, there's nothing to talk about there. What you have failed to do is make an argument as to why it is good. You like to try to refute and ask for studies as to why people who are against it are wrong. But where's your argument for why it's good? Can you please demonstrate the help that it produces in society?
That's not the prompt, sir.
So I never claimed
yes,
that
it
it's
is. The
good.
prompt
I'm more of the
is-
opinion that it's like a
And
neutral
Mike-
thing.
Mike, I was looking at the link you dropped backstage,
Positive
and
on
that's
an individual level.
that
Sorry,
study. No, I interrupted you. That study says that the harmful impacts are compounded by people being male or religious. So you could just as easily look at the data and say it's making a case against religion.
No, I really don't think you can. I think that you can sit here and say, well, how many people in the United States identify as religious? So a large component of our society identifies as religious. So if we're doing something
I
that's
thought we
harmful
were a
to
secular
which is what the
society.
prompt is.
I
Go ahead,
thought we
Sarah.
were a majority of secularism.
I think most
But you know
games
that a
are
large
Christian.
portion of the
country's still
people
majority.
who report problematic porn usage display this like moral incongruence because of their religiosity. They're taught that masturbation is bad, watching porn is bad, so because they do it, they feel really shitty about it.
Did this guy say that it was porn or corn? I heard corn a lot.
We say
I
corn
think
because
corn
we're on
for the
YouTube.
YouTube terms of service. I don't know if we're allowed to say it.
Shit, my bad.
Yeah. So what do you
Sorry.
think about this? Like this studies done on moral incongruence.
Can you repeat the question again for me? The whole question. Sorry.
So studies show that people who are more religious show higher levels of distress when they do watch porn because they're taught masturbating is bad, it's a sin, watching porn is bad, it's a sin. So when they obviously do it, they feel really high levels of distress and will report problematic porn usage.
And you're asking for my feelings on that? Yeah, that makes sense to me. I don't understand.
So do you think that this might be the reason why you're seeing people report having problematic porn usage, and that's like
Well, it could be
something to
It
do with
could
the
be.
study that you cited?
Sure. So then would your solution be to somehow move the over hundreds of millions of people away from religion and then create a society without
Well,
these?
I personally don't think people should feel bad for masturbating or watching porn. So.
If religion is what is causing the problem, not corn, then it would make sense to move the where the problem is.
Yeah, I think it's.
I don't think you necessarily
ridiculous
have to move
to
people away from religion. I think like a lot of religion has this purity culture, especially in the US. You don't really see it as much in Australia and other countries, even though like in our religious population, you don't really get the same level of purity culture you do over there. So I think you can keep people, like people can still be religious, but not like go down the purity culture path.
So if only those
No,
religious
so we
people
should
would conform their ideologies to fit what you like, then maybe we could solve.
Well, yeah, they'd
society's
probably feel a
problems.
lot better about themselves.
Well, yeah,
It's a very,
like, so if
very
we could
arrogant
teach
thing to
people,
say right there. 20-something-year-old Diddley has the prescription for
Just real quick.
society. Everyone needs to change their
well,
religion. To
I think
fit
we
what
all
you
have
like.
prescriptions,
She
right?
seems
So
happier and more chill right now than you do.
that's
What?
true.
First of all,
That's
just
Wait,
being
before you
someone
go on
happy
another spiel,
is not an
just-
argument.
Let me actually, I if you don't mind, Ryan, I have
Yeah,
not really
keep
been able to read any super chats tonight, and I'm not complaining by any means. Now I feel like we're having a good discussion. Wyatt Hype with the Big Ten says hashtag simping for Sarah. Thank you kindly. Sim troopers will attack you though. Be careful. Will Games with the Big Five. OnlyFans isn't harmful, but it can be harmful depending on the individual's experience and how they engage it. And I guess how the creator promotes it. Would anybody disagree with that? I think that's a fair statement.
I think
heard
it's
that.
inherently, I believe in morals and shit. It is inherently wrong. I'm on that side of the fence.
Why?
Because it teaches motherfuckers to be slutty. I don't want my kid to be slutty. I got a daughter.
Do you consider yourself slutty?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
You do want people to be slutty. You don't even live by your own morals.
Do you
How
regret
are you
being
supposed to- how are you
slutty?
supposed to take you say seriously?
There's a line here about apples and trees, and I don't know if I need to actually fully say it.
Powder
Jesus.
Dusty in with the Big Five pretty early on when we discussed the masturbating. Shout out to everyone at home doing that very
Handshake.
thing.
I masturbate daily.
Oh goodness. Oh, that was Grid with the Big Ten. I have a feeling Diddley is all about the manipulation. Nice little dad corny
Oh my
joke
God,
in
Grid.
there. K2
I
keep
can
on
be mean
trucking.
every once in a while.
Wah, wah,
It was like
wah.
goofy mean, yeah.
That's a dad joke for other dads, bro.
I'm a dad, and
K2
I think that was too dad joke for me.
I love
come
dad
on.
jokes, but it was a little on the corny side. K2 keep on trucking with the Big Ten. I never heard of any kid committing self-deletion by their parents' YouTube channel, unlike OF parents. Is that a
Have you
thing? Does
seen
that happen?
mine?
I'm
It's
sure
not
there
true.
are.
The
I've never
very
heard of
few
that either.
articles I've seen of it stemmed from fake Reddit stories. But even if that was happening, again, I think this is an issue about why are people bullying a child to the point of self-deletion?
Because there's
Like,
our real life.
why are we blaming the parents of
Because
this
there's our real,
child?
because there's how real life works. If the parents didn't got into that line of work, the kid will never get deleted. There's the
Daddy,
problem.
what? You need to be going at grid one. We've got a real life example right here on panel.
Do you support children being bullied through self-deletion because of something their parents did?
No, absolutely. So let me tell you this.
Oh,
right?
you do?
No. Well, repeat it again because I say yes.
Wait, so you support a child being bullied to the extent that they self.
I don't support. I'm describing real life. If all of us live on the same neighborhood, and your dad came to the neighborhood every day drunk, screaming and shouting because he's drunk, and now his kids is suffering the consequences because there's some shaming because you are now the daughter of the drunk man of the neighborhood and you did something to you, is your dad's fault. Your dad actually inflicted pain in his daughter.
How about we
because
treat that
every
child
day
with
you come-
compassion?
No, lady, we live on the real world. He didn't do nothing to you. He has all the right to become drunk every day and scream at the clouds. But the thing is, you don't want to be the daughter of the drunk man that scream at the clouds. You are going to have repercussions by
Do you
that.
think that should be happening? Is that the claim you're making?
I don't care about the should. I'm caring about what happens.
So you don't think it should be happening, to be clear.
It shouldn't be happen on a perfect world. Everybody should get drunk.
Okay.
Everybody should
I'm
show their
glad we
asshole
agree
and
on
be
that.
okay. The reality
I'm glad
is,
we agree.
when you say is OnlyFans, go ahead, Sarah. Read it from. This got crazy.
I want to tell everybody watching over on the tomato side, I'm going to
That's
shut
crazy.
down the tomato side and we're continuing over on the Gauntlet channel. I've dropped the link several times, but you will also be rated over. If my mods could go ahead and continue to drop the link to tell everybody to follow like good little sheep, that'd be great. Thank you. You have 2 minutes
Like
to
good
make
little
your way.
sheep.
You have 2 minutes
where we
to
going?
make your way. You're
He's
not
not
going
going
anywhere.
nowhere.
You're
You're
staying
good.
still. Same show,
sure?
different channel.
All right.
We just want to make sure we cut these debates short.
And we
for,
get music, bro. It's a treat. You get music before you go over there.
Well, we already did that. Anyways.
Uncle Jack, that looked like A1 sauce. What'd you just take a drink out of?
Okay,
It
so
was a
you have
Bud
2
Light.
minutes to make
Mm.
your way over to the Gauntlet now, or else you're just going to have to follow the raid. But it'll be much easier if you just do it now. Thank you. Cult said, this isn't really a debate. This is a one creator picking on an OnlyFans creator and not answering questions towards him. I
And
would be
then
a little
running away.
agreeable. And I tried to shut down like the personal attack portion of it, and so I apologize, Diddley. But it kept coming back around, and
You
it was.
don't need to worry. I'm used to it.
I
don't mind.
figured you had pretty thick skin towards that, so it just,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like that was like a good piece of the debate to do.
This is the second time in a row that Cooley has raged or run away when it becomes to the open panel portion.
He
just
did
a
make
easy
a
man.
point. He did make a point to say that he was
A pussy?
going to.
He said he was sick, right?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. What was his excuse last time? He lost internet or something?
I'm tired. I'm
I
ready
don't
to go to
know.
bed, but I'm still here.
Fair enough.
yeah.
Swaggo with the big 5 says, porn destroys the motivation of men to build things and create families and improve themselves and the world. It deteriorates men whom create society.
Prove it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power you're giving to it, Swaggo. You need to take that power back for yourself and stop spanking it so much.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, use your
Flo, are you
imagination.
denying the power of the pussy?
No, I'm not denying the power of the pussy.
Okay,
What
all
I'm,
right,
what
all
I'm
right.
doing is
I
I'm.
was like,
I'm-
wait a minute. You're all about the power.
I'm-
What are you talking about? Half your damn show's
I'm
about
just
the power.
saying he's not actually engaging in the pussy, is he? He's in the
I don't know.